weeks and weeks of play have led to this moment.
Playoffs is back and we have some surprises in store for you.
Absolute chills.
Everybody's so low for SRPeakcheck. Cookie!
There's a reason that Cookie was touted as the best soldier in EMEA.
Saints play this beautifully. The bomb sticks mid-air.
You gotta have supreme confidence in yourself.
There is so much to fight for, and I am stoked to see how it's going to really pan out.
I love this when the fight is dire, when players recognize when they must make a play.
Oh my lord!
I am so damn excited.
This is absolutely spicy.
Only one team gets to come away from this alive.
Now it's about their name. It's about their legacy.
Know when to take that risk, when to bet it all.
The Overwatch Contenders Summer Series playoffs continue right now.
Welcome back, everybody, to Overwatch Contenders in Europe and obviously Moxie. Today, we're back for the playoffs. It's exciting to be back. It's been a bit of a layover. It's always these small layovers between the round robin and the playoffs, Moxie, that feel like an eternity. But we're finally here. We're at the very beginning of the playoffs, and I'm sure you're equally as excited.
Equally excited. Oh, you know it, Dustin. Not only are we back, pop the confetti, pop all of the party poppers, we're also playing on a new patch, and that's not all that we have that's going to be new. We've got the new support hero enabled. It's going to be the first time that we get to see her in pro play, and since we're on EU, we get her first! We get her official debut into competitive pro play as well, Dustin. So I'm super happy. I can't wait to see what these teams have cooked up in terms of strategies and how to use her. Speaking of these teams, well, we're going to have a look at the schedule to see exactly which teams we get to follow along with first of all, because, oh my goodness, Dustin, meta may have changed, but some of these teams and the comps that they run out with, I don't think they'll have changed all that much. Up first, it's going to be SRPeakcheck versus Team PEPS, and you know that SRPeakcheck, they're still going to be trying to run that Reinhardt.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's definitely their staple. And meanwhile, later on, same team, kind of different mentality with that same format is right. Obviously, rocking more towards that wrecking ball, and at times with the Jay Raddington the thirds. Meanwhile, Triple Esports kind of mixing things up as well with their new lineup as of this season. Continually improving throughout it as well. And then, obviously we have to wait and see what happens in the other matches for that. But if we go back and take a look at the standings for the overall series, obviously Twisted Minds were just an absolute dominant force leading into this playoffs. I think, Moxie, they're probably still the favorites leading into this, right?
Yeah, definitely. Even though we've got Iliari now enabled coming through, potentially being, another Bane, as well as things like the Baptiste and Sojourn to that Pharah to the Echo, Twisted Minds have moved away from only relying on the Echo strategy, and as a result have found a lot of success. Another team I think is actually going to have a lot of success at the moment on this current patch is actually our current 7th seed, Ataraxia. They're not going to be shown on broadcast. They're going up against Exoblivione, but Ataraxia have Helve as their tank, and Helve is the OG Orisa player in this region, right? They were playing Orisa even before it was cool, even before the patch fully buffed her out with those fortify changes. So I think they're actually going to do particularly well if they really can play around the anchor of that tank composition. But whether or not they will do, we've yet to see. We're going to actually be getting to follow on the third match, I believe, the lower bracket, and one of those teams is going to be the team that loses that matchup. So it might be EXO, it might be Ataraxia. Either way, my question's going to be answered super quickly on that front, but we also have to ask ourselves, what is this going to look like? Because, oh my goodness, Sombra got changed, we've got Ramatra nerfs coming through, Orisa got back-to-back buffs off of the 2 patches that the Contender cycle had previously missed out on. Everything is up in the air in terms of how the support lineup is going to look, in terms of what DPS these players get locked in with. But one thing that's not going to change is our current team, SRPeakcheck. We can have a look at the roster and see exactly why. We are pretty solid on the fact that they're not going to be playing that new Orisa, and that's because of one guy on this roster, LH Cloudy. He's going to be on the Reinhardt. He's not starting off in the DPS, so they're not going to be playing Reaper. They've got Dinette, they can play that Symmetra, they've got Fire, they can play that Mei. I want to see whether or not we're going to see a change up of the support. Because, like, you want the Lucio for the Reinhardt, but you have to have the Baptiste for the Reinhardt as well. So are one of Dollar or Ghost actually going to swap out and go for the new support, or are they just literally going to stick with the exact same composition they had in the past?
Yeah, only time will tell with that specific support lineup in SRPeakcheck. Meanwhile, for Team PEPS' side, I think things were a bit more straightforward for them, Moxie, would you say, with maybe running that new support, or, you know, the fact they have FD God, one of the best Lucios in Europe, and then also Kronos, a fantastic flex support in his own right. Do you think that they run it?
Potentially. I mean, there's a lot of damage on the Iliari, like a lot of damage, plus the ultimate. It's really punishing for these teams that like to cluster up. It's going to be really strong against teams like the Static Orisa composition, but also for the Reinhardt composition, right? Because everyone's going to be behind LH Cloudy. If they get hit by the Captive Sun, if one of them gets hit by Captive Sun, every single one of them is going to get hit by Captive Sun. And here's the problem too. You don't really have anything that can typically cleanse it for the Reinhardt composition either. Like, if you're running something like the Kiriko, you can Suzu it. If you're running the Zarya, you can bubble it, so you don't have to worry about taking that additional 90 damage and then the 120 burst that follows it through. But this is a Reinhardt, and Reinhardt's cleanse button, unfortunately, is hitting sub-zero health and going back to respawn. So I think we could potentially be getting to see her immediately out of the gates, but whether or not it is going to be with an Orisa composition, that's still up in the air, because the last time these two teams met, Morph was actually running a lot of the Ramatra to try to punish and directly counter that Reinhardt.
Okay, well, let's see what these teams opt for into this first map, Moxie, which is going to be Antarctic Peninsula. Obviously, this map is favored. Well, SRPeakcheck likes this map a lot, obviously, but Team PEPS as well have their own strengths on it that are just as good. And for the new support specifically, like you mentioned, I think that we could see, you know, things up in the air. It's always, you know, people like to be know-it-alls about, like, the meta, right, Moxie? Like, okay, we're just obviously gonna see this and this is why or whatever. But, you know, like you said, we haven't seen this character in professional play just yet, and this is gonna be the very first time that we actually do get to see it. But on a map like Antarctic Peninsula that is going to be Control, maybe teams opt for that Lucio. What do you think?
Again, like, it's really tough to call, right? Because, like, Lucio on Control is really good if you lose the first fight, but Iliari, her strength, especially those pylons, is when you have defensive positions, because it has such a huge range, such a huge amount of healing outburst, and also if you're running up against something that doesn't really dive, these compositions who are running into them don't have an easy access point to be able to take the pylon out. So you are constantly fighting up against that healing burst, just pushing everyone's health bars right back to full if they're in charge of choke, and if the pylon is behind that choke, situated on a wall, you have no way of being able to damage it before the fight properly kicks off and you're fully invested. And at that point, if you do need to disengage, that's the Reinhardt composition's one of their biggest composition's weaknesses, right? If you don't have something like a Lucio or a Sim TP, the entire reason why we see the Sim come into this composition is to be able to use things like the TP to get the Rein into those access points faster. Everything falls apart.
Oh my god, yeah, I can't imagine what these teams have to go through in terms of dealing with Iliari. And Moxie, for that character specifically, for the new support, would you say that this character is, because we've been talking about it in that main support role, but, you know, it probably has some right being a flex support too, right?
Flex.
I mean, why would we not see potentially even that Lucio Iliari? Is there just not enough healing there to make that support duo work?
So here's the thing, right? Iliari and Baptiste have really good synergy. And when I say really good synergy, I mean really good. There's a couple of reasons for it. Iliari has that jump, right, where she can immediately just peel for the Baptiste, very similar to the way that we saw Briggs using things like the flails to be able to save the Ana. So you can actually save on the Immortality Field cooldown, which is something that Baptiste in the past have been pressured out for. But another is the interaction with the pylon and amplification matrix. Because somehow, I don't know what happened in the coding, but something is listing pylon as a projectile. D.Va can defense matrix it, brilliant, But that goes two ways because Amplification Matrix from Baptiste also amplifies the healing output and speed from the pylon. It's ridiculous. So to have those two supports, not only do you have so much healing potential, but you also have so much damage output and survivability. And remember, if we're playing into these static compositions, Lucio isn't really needed. You're not going to be rotating to get the full value from that pylon. You're going to want to stick in one spot and not constantly have to break the pylon, set it on the 8-second cooldown, and move.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a strong ability as well. So we'll have to see leading into this first map what, or if we see it at all, in fact, leading into this one. I mean, you obviously leaning towards yes rather than no, Mox, but, you know, for the likes of SRPeakcheck, we know what they like to do, right? Just play with that Lucio, play quick, play fast, you know, set up LH Cloudy. And, you know, you mentioned him on Reaper earlier, potentially playing that DPS role. We have seen that throughout the round robin, but in terms of the playoffs, they're locking towards him on the run.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the playoffs, in terms of every single match, when Cloudy is on this team, if he's not on that DPS, they're going to be running that Reinhardt. A lot of other heroes did receive a whole bunch of other changes. Bastion got incredibly buffed in terms of versatility all around the board, and that is going to be a problem for this Reinhardt if you are not able to instantly get that TP if you take too long in those rotations. Hybrid is just going to chunk through your shield before it's even available, and no surprises, it's not going to be any Iliari. What is surprising, however, is Molf is mirroring the Reinhardt.
Yeah, Molf mirroring the Reinhardt is interesting, and also with the Bastion in Torbjorn on the side of Team PEPS, they go Coastal, and Molf actually finds that Fire Strike opening onto Danit early on. No Symmetra now for SRPeakcheck. They try to just rotate around the point, maybe get some of this healing on the back, but unfortunately, they lose that Immortality Field of Ghost, and then LH Cloudy soon to follow, and PEPS just a clean first tank.
So I actually love this composition that PEPS are coming out with, because like you saw, the target for Team PEPS, it's not the support lineup, it's Danit on this Symmetra, because if you take the Symmetra off the board, there goes the Reinhardt's engagement tool. Without that TP, they can't get into these fights, and Hybrid and Naga just get to spam. Now they're going to get that TP off and try to collapse in on, but there's the sustainability, and there's the burst damage of the Bastion entirely uncontested.
I like that a lot. I mean, both these characters have a lot of HP and armor too, so it's going to be hard for the Symmetra to really get a lot of value. And meanwhile, Naga, like you said, off that left side, I mean, perfect off angle.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Team PEPS get to play the off angle. Naga already 73% of the way to that first Molten Core. SRPeakcheck going to still be sticking on this composition. Ghost is pretty close to the Amplification Matrix. Has to make sure, however, that they don't lose a squishy to an off angle again.
They break that turret. A little bit of damage removed for Naga for now, but Curly can put down another one. Meanwhile, Amplification Matrix here on the point. Immortality Field to keep them healthy. Counter and Matrix on the side of Cronus. Team PEPS still alive, but the charge comes through from LH Cloudy. Takes Hybrid off of the map and plays around the mini health pack and able to find Cronus. Unfortunately, the boop is there from FD God, but the damage is already done, and Danit is finding the rest of Team PEPS as the point already flipped back in their favor.
57% picked up for Team PEPS, but now we should see SRPeakcheck really getting into their own on this composition. Danit can put those Symmetra turrets up to make it really hard for Team PEPS to be able to rotate onto the backside of that point. Fi is going to have the Blizzard for stall potential, and it's going to come down to the Rein mind games in terms of whose Shatter is more effective. And I mean, LH Cloudy has been Rein maining for years. Surely he has to have the advantage in that.
For sure. I mean, SRPeakcheck still holding out this choke point with that Blizzard. Now they toss it in. Fi is onto the back, but Naga already found Danit. However, he went so deep that LH Cloudy came back for him, took him out with the Fire Strike at the very end, but it is just a 1-for-1. Meanwhile, Bastion Ultimate coming through from Hybrid to zone on the point. LH Cloudy, meanwhile, still trying to take that fight with Molf. However, has to go up some space, will die to Hybrid, but does get the Shatter off. Meanwhile, a Sound Barrier here is to overlay to counter the damage from SRPeakcheck to give PEPS that recontest on the point, and they flip it back.
I love the fact that Hybrid tried to use that artillery strike to bait LH Cloudy and using the Rhine shield like an umbrella, but he knows that Morph has the shatter. He holds the shield, goes for the shatter past Morph, but unfortunately, there's still just too much damage output. Even in the lull that Team Peps are able to score onto the side of SRPeakcheck, and the second that Hybrid recovers, out comes that Bastion burst, and away goes this Rhine composition, as yet again they have to look to engage, this time without anything other than the amp.
Yep, they'll use it. Ghost there, as well as Cronus on his side. Immortality Field also utilized by him. Hybrid is trying to play around the corners, make sure he gets through it. Morph goes for the shatter. Unfortunately, doesn't connect with anybody and is incredibly low, but still has that double pocket from the Lucio and the Baptiste. However, Fi still there with the damage, able to find him. Naga as well, trying to find a counter potentially here with the Bastion as well of Hybrid. So SRPeakcheck can't go too far forward because they need to get back up in terms of those heals. So Naga will commit the Molten Core here, but Fi, nice shot from him to take out Naga after dropping the Molten Core. SRPeakcheck flip it back, and with 90%, Team Peps still have to respawn, and this last fight is going to be dicey.
Yeah, this is really risky. The reason that Morph went for that forward shatter is to try and stop the flip from coming through, but he wasn't able to prevent it, and SRPeakcheck, because they're in control of that point all the way through the fight, they're hitting overtime.
Another Ant Matrix built by Ghost with the beat drop to go aggressive. However, Hybrid counters with an ultimate. Cloudy will fall even with that ultimate out of Ghost. Naga doing a great job there. Blizzard here to slow down Morph, potentially find him. The beat, oh my god, does not connect on the Morph, sadly. Dala will find him, but Hybrid did trade back Ghost and is on the point. Naga also finds Fi. Dala goes down, and in overtime, Peps will flip it back.
Had to use the amplification matrix and every single ultimate at their disposal. Ghost coming back in on the Moira to try to get back with the team faster, but I don't think anyone's going to be able to touch Dustin. As yeah, LH Cloudy not able to swap onto something like the Wrecking Ball and keep it into overtime so that the rest of his team can regroup. It was close. We're probably going to get a Rhine mirror matchup again as Antarctic Peninsula continues, and we get to see some more of these maps where the spaces are incredibly closed off. This is one of the ones where the Reinhardt doesn't really have as much strength as it would traditionally, but again, tradition is very much broken by the Symmetra coming in for this composition and allowing you to take what is normally a huge disadvantage for the Rhine to deal with, inability to access low ground to high ground, entirely removed with that Symmetra teleporter. So as a result, yet again, it's going to be the mirror matchup, this time with the addition of Hybrid's Hanzo. So same game plan for Peps, take an off angle, find a squishy, take the Symmetra down, and hamper LH Cloudy's movement.
Yeah, it's interesting they'll make that swap. I mean, the Bastion did look good on that previous round. SRPeakcheck, though, is taking this space momentarily. Hybrid still launching in those arrows from the back, scouting out the supports as well, making sure he could potentially find that one-shot TP in from Cloudy, just to look at him for a second, then drop back down towards that point where SRPeakcheck will be taking that objective first. Meanwhile, Peps try to rotate back around the high ground on Defy, maybe push them into a bit of a more central location. They've already gotten the cooldowns out of Fi, so now they want to press the go key on Defy there on the back. Nobody there to save him. Great job from Naga and the rest of Team Peps to find that kill. Immortality Field also found out of there already. LH Cloudy then gets removed by Naga, and it's very, very good recontest there from Team Peps as they rotate through this point, and surely we'll get the flip.
Yeah, it is SRPeakcheck who's able to pick up the first point percentage, 29%, because of that bait Symmetra teleporter. Dinet threw it out onto the high ground that Hybrid was actually occupying, so that Team Peps had to turn around, deal with the Symmetra teleporter. Cloudy even actually goes through it to sell the bait at the same time as his team touch onto the point without contest, and as a result didn't have to worry about the hands of taking a squishy down. But now they have to attack yet again, and they have to make sure that everyone gets through that Symmetra teleporter. Otherwise, this team is split, and Peps can take full advantage.
Doing a great job focusing that teleport. Cronus will already drop his amplification matrix over the top. Counter ultimate by Ghost. Meanwhile, Morph goes for the shatter. Unfortunately, doesn't find the kill, but Hybrid does over this top side. Also finds the charge onto Cloudy. Cronus also removed Danded, and that's another hold for Peps.
Yeah, Team PEPS just have so much more mobility, even though they're not running this Reinhardt alongside this Symmetra. Because they're running Hybrid on the Hanzo rather than the Bastion, he has the ability to be able to wall climb and put himself on these off angles. So when SRPeakcheck try and mirror Team PEPS in terms of the amplification matrix and use it to bunker up onto the point, Hybrid literally just goes onto the high ground and shoots everyone below him without any contest, as SRPeakcheck want a fast recontest and unfortunately go right into the Dragon Strike.
I mean, yeah, it was perfectly timed. Cronus is there as well. Molf takes a little pressure, so has to get that beat drop, but counter beat on SRPeakcheck's side allow Ghosty to find Molf, or Ghost to find Molf early on. FD God, though, will trade back Dandid, and Hybrid will also find Ghost, so SRPeakcheck claimed this point, but it's only temporary. Cloudy will be found by Naga as well. A little bit of delay from Dala, but surely he will fall, and he does. May hear just a delay from Fi's side, but eventually will have to come out of the ice block, and Naga takes out the Torb Hammer too. PEPS will flip the point back.
He would have actually gotten that hammer kill, but he's denied it by his own turret. Feels bad for the Torbjorn. As I mean, you have to feel bad for LH Cloudy. He's got the Reinhardt ultimate. He has the Shadow. Fi's got the Blizzard if they really want to again just teleport onto the point, throw it down, and guarantee that flip. But Team PEPS are just so split in terms of how they're playing, always with an off angle. It's never going to catch all of them.
Window there, Hybrid finds Dala through it, does cost him his life though, but Molf has already found Ghost. Fine, will get FD gone, so he's putting a lot of work on the May, but Cronus still alive, pumping in that damage and heals from the back line, and now just with double DPS here on the point, SRPeakcheck in a very dicey situation. They do get that point flip. Molf not able to find that kill just yet either, as he's kind of waiting for his team to kind of re-enter back into this fight after losing Hybrid earlier on. Some extra wall here from Dandit as well. Charge comes through from LH Cloudy, allows them to find Molf, and Dandit will go aggressive with that TP play. SRPeakcheck, last second, actually will claim this objective, or keep the objective in their time. 80% now on the board. We're entering last fight territory for PEPS.
Yeah, it cost them 2 ultimates. Again, took the engagement from PEPS on that high ground, using both the Blizzard and the Shadow to be able to put themselves onto that point and find the fast flip uncontested. And then using the fact that they had the symbol to block off the off angles that Team PEPS have been taking advantage of in these neutral fights, and the Mate to be able to stall through. Now Amplification Matrix is there. They're all forced in the corner because of the Dragon Strike, however, and Team PEPS starts to try and control the space.
Yeah, Molten Core popped as well on the top, but Ghost almost gets out with his life. However, FD God is there. Dandid trying to find some kills desperately, but will fall to Hybrid. And now it's just a man Lucy on the objective. What can they really do? A beat drop is available. Dala will have to use it to keep them sustained. Overtime is still ticking down, but the beat drop is removed from just damage output of PEPS. The Hanzo and the Torbjorn combined for both Dala and Fi. Cloudy is back, but doesn't have a lot of support, so they'll give up that objective and give up this first map. PEPS will take the first map on Antarctica.
Those pushes were just too expensive for SRPeakcheck, right? Every single time they had to go for the Symmetra teleporter first, that's costing them significant time and point percentage for the other side, as well as the fact that Cloudy is only safe to really drop that shield and not have to worry about the off angles when the Symmetra wall is up, and that's an ultimate. You're never going to have it every single fight, every single push, so every single time that SRPeakcheck want to go for that point flip, they have to invest ultimates, as opposed to Team PEPS, who have the mobility, don't have to rely on a cooldown of a Symmetra teleporter either that is shootable. You can break it early, you can immediately stop SRPeakcheck from being able to use it to rotate, as opposed to Hybrid, who just literally gets to hit wall climb whenever he feels like it, because there's no one to contest him on the long range either.
Yeah, so far Hybrid, I mean, looking good on the Hanzo, also on the Bastion on the first round. I mean, kind of interesting that also, you know, Bastion kind of makes his return too in these playoffs, Moxie. It's definitely not a bad pick either, as well as the Hanzo, like you said, just with the wall climb, even with, you know, some of those changes that inevitably came through. But PEPS taking map number 1, Moxie, is that a bit of a surprise to you, or is this kind of expected for them?
Very expected, very much so. This is the problem that Oya also tends to run into the more that these teams have access to being able to fight them. They're predictable, right? LH Cloudy, we knew that he was going to play Reinhardt, even with the Orisa changes coming through. Team PEPS knew that he was going to play Reinhardt, and as a result, they have this composition, this strategy. I guarantee you that we do not see this Morph Reinhardt pick come through against any other team if they know that it's not going to work into something like the Orisa, the Diva, or the Winston that some of these other teams might potentially want to turn to.
Yeah, interesting coming back into Overwatch casting because it's been so long, you know, obviously coming into these playoffs, immediately start with the Bastion tour, but the Reinhardt comp, Moxie, I mean, what a way to start it off, huh? I mean,
well,
pretty
both
funny.
Got buffed. Here's the thing.
Yep.
Both got buffed, and you have to think about it as well. Like, a strategy that SRPeakcheck would do in the past would be that they would throw that Symmetra teleporter out to bait the way that we saw them do on that second map of Antarctic Peninsula, right? Sub-level, where they throw the teleporter out to deny Hybrid's off angle on the Hanzo that high ground. He has to turn around, shoot it, stops them from shooting the squishies when they walk forward, claim that point. It's going to take a lot longer over time for something like a Hanzo to shoot it down as opposed to the Bastion, who has that amazing burst damage when you're in wheels up form, as well as the fact that it really disintegrates the Maywall incredibly quickly too. And something else that they would do other than the Symmetra teleporter play would be to throw the Maywall up to be able to disguise their rotations because they'd use the teleporter to bait. They needed something to guarantee that Cloudy got into the fight safely and with shield still having at least a percentage of health intact, and it would be the Maywall. But here's the thing, the Bastion just goes wheels up, moves around it, or shoots it down, and suddenly those are two platforms for your Reinhardt to feel safer behind, entirely removed in the blink of an eye, and you have no way of being able to reposition in time before the Bastion chunks through that shield and takes a squishy down. And we saw it time and time and time again.
Yeah, excellent game planning from PEPS, like you mentioned. And, you know, it still was somewhat close, even though that was a 2-0 in terms of the round differential. But next map we're going into is going to be Eichenwalde. That is the map that SRPeakcheck think they have that advantage. And leading into this one, Moxie, you know, maybe do you think we'll see a little bit of that Iliari to come through?
Potentially on the defense. And the only reason for that, again, is because, like, Pylon can be incredibly annoying to fight into in chokes, and Eichenwalde is incredibly well known for the pain and the amount of time that it can take to get through these chokes. But that's another reason why SRPeakcheck are confident in this pick. With that Symmetra teleporter, they don't have to worry about the choke, and then when they're on the defense, they have all of those funneled up spaces where everyone's going to be essentially just pushed into LH Cloudy's Fire Strike so he can get the maximum amount of value.
Okay, well, let's see how things pan out on this map specifically. You know, a lot of these teams, you know, specifically SRPeakcheck like to run that Ryan like you mentioned, but, you know, the fact that Molf is just the one to play it too, just to kind of counter it, speaks to, you know, his own capability to play Ryan to a high level. And, you know, meanwhile, in the defense, SRPeakcheck already playing that same exact comp they did on the last one, Mox.
Well, they can't play anything else. We've already talked about it, right? The Reinhardt needs the Symmetra, needs the Mei as well to properly be able to play off of targets that have been isolated by that wall. You've got this first choke that we're just sliding through on bridge. Perfectly shaped for a Maywall to be able to catch someone out, and then the Rein can use it as a backboard to charge. The Lucio is necessary because you need the speed to be able to engage and disengage the Reinhardt, and the Baptiste, the amplification matrix with the Fire Strike, the synergy is just too good. And Immortality Field, when your Rein gets pressured onto, he doesn't have something like the fortified form of the Arista to be able to survive those 1v. As Team PEPS, no surprises, Hybrid on that Bastion looking to chunk through every single defense SRPeakcheck has.
This is actually was a good map previously too for Bastion, even leading into or before the buffs, rather necessarily on the left side. SRPeakcheck had to deal with that grenade from him. Nice damage. Dandit though still just fine, and PEPS still kind of stuck at this choke point. Already 30 seconds off the clock. Naga ready to go for this right angle, and they just go aggressive with this Bastion. Now Wolf already gets taken out by Dandit, and Cloudy with the Fire Strike will find that 2K as well. Nobody lost either, so perfect from SRPeakcheck.
3 kills with Fire Strike, by the way, for LH Cloudy. Really good placement of Immortality Field from Ghost. You can see that Hybrid actually acknowledges that Immortality Field comes out, and instead of trying to break the Reinhardt shield, tries to break the lamp, but the damage has been done. Team PEPS trying to go for that engagement with Naga using the E to close up the distance. Feeds themselves straight into an entirely unkillable team. This time around, though, PEPS going to expect it. Just wants to go side room.
Ooh, Cloudy goes for that shatter, but does get nothing besides Molf's shield. Meanwhile, Hybrid already walked into this left room in the mini, and he's finding max value. Gets LH Cloudy and fine. Naga is there to find Ghost. Ghost did find Cronus, but it might be too late. I mean, Team PEPS have walked into this objective. SRPeakcheck, though, looks like they're going to regroup and try to get a recontest.
They do have that Symmetra wall, and they're going to throw it out immediately to try to mitigate some of the damage coming through from Choke, but unfortunately, Dustin, it's too late. They can't contest. Molten Core and Artillery Strike comes through from Team PEPS' side, and SRPeakcheck used Sound Barrier to try and engage on that one, Dustin. That's 2 ultimates that they're now going to be lacking.
That's just perfect from PEPS' side to just counter with their DPS ultimates to deal with Dala and Danids. I mean, that was amazing work from them. Meanwhile, PEPS have rotated already towards that castle, have Hybrid in a great spot to utilize this amplification matrix, and all of Cloudy's health pool just got deleted. SRPeakcheck tried to play around this payload, but no beat drop, like you mentioned. They can't take a good fight versus Team PEPS, and PEPS will continue this cart presence.
Team PEPS dozied-out their positioning as well. They took castle control away from SRPeakcheck. They tried to take the engagement around Portcullis, and unfortunately, as a result, they got off-angled again. Castle was in full control of Hybrid, who'd fortified it to the point of Fort Knox with that Bastion behind Amplification Matrix, and Naga with the turret just controlled the off-angles as well, as we see the Amplification Matrix from SRPeakcheck, and Team PEPS, they just disengaged. They dropped down, and that amplification is abandoned.
Yeah, I mean, this is SRPeakcheck's entire game plan, just to play around the objective. So as long as they're stopping at the choke, that's somewhat okay. But like you said, that ultimate, the Amplification Matrix now gone. Not in this fight. Dana, though, able to find FD God over that top side. Kind of fought for that against the Lucio and is able to come out on top. Now the Symmetra turrets are in a great position at the choke point as PEPS have to walk through to try to reclaim this objective. Shatter comes through from Cloudy, allows Dana to find Cronus as he is deep on the back line of Team PEPS. It will cost him his life, but the damage is already done for SRPeakcheck. 3 minutes now off or on the clock for PEPS' side. They're going to have to reset.
Yeah, Team PEPS unfortunately had to take that fight. They lost FD God, they lost the opportunity to be able to reposition, and actually they're going to get staggered as well, losing the Lucio even later on the second engagement that FD God tried to take. And LH Cloudy, he just waits for his opportunity. Again, walks past Morph, gets every single squishy behind the Reinhardt, and then Dana drops into the backline and gets to work. As SRPeakcheck off of that Shatter, they've still got high ground control now with the Symmetra, but they've also recovered in terms of ultimates.
Matrix used by Ghost, but it is disengaged until the Naga ultimate comes through. Molten Core to try to zone back. Symmetra wall used here as well, thinking that PEPS is going to walk in, but they'll just wait it out.
Artillery Strike still available for Hybrid, but Fire's Blizzard is something that Team PEPS have to be concerned about.
Now, that Artillery Strike comes through, like you said, kind of into the middle of SRPeakcheck, who drops that Blizzard and actually catches Molf. That's a great Blizzard from SRPeakcheck's side on the Fi. Meanwhile, they have to run away because without your tank player, I mean, what more could you really do here? Less than 2 minutes in the clock, PEPS has to regroup.
Yeah, it's a perfect read from SRPeakcheck. Hybrid throws out the artillery strike so that Morph can get close, knowing that without the Symmetra teleporter, they have to use something like an ultimate to disguise that push. And Fire zones the entirety of Team PEPS outside of him with that Blizzard. Now we're going to see Fire trying to just wait for Team PEPS to walk in front, find that wall, but actually gets red and potentially knocked off the map.
Wait, but it's Hybrid to find Danit with that Storm Arrow. Shatter comes through from Wolf here too, and 2 Cloudy will get the charge as well. A minute now on the clock. Hybrid will find 5. Great re-engage from PEPS.
Ghost is going to go down late as well. Hybrid swapping onto that Hanzo off of the Bastion. Now just gets so much more mobility to be able to do just this. Has the high ground, is going to be able to use that bolt to be able to figure out the angle that SRPeakcheck tried to take this next fight from, and can just spam the damage down as SRPeakcheck have to rotate all the way around.
Yeah, they do so. Will drop the Ant Matrix on Ghost side, but has to use the Immortality Field for himself because he took so much poke, but he is able to find Wolf, who is running away from Cloudy, who I'm pretty sure dropped the Shatter in that fight too. So with those 2 ultimates, 30 seconds left now, they'll find the delay on Naga.
Yeah, Kronos just throwing himself off of the map to be able to regroup with the team a little bit faster. Unfortunately for Team PEPS, however, we're right into overtime, and Fi has the one ultimate that they don't have any means of being able to disengage, the Blizzard. If they can just throw it on the payload, they have nothing, but they're going to use it early to try to keep Team PEPS from walking through a gate.
Yeah, you might as well. Naga's able to get found by Ghost, and now on the payload, FD God just looking to do some maneuvering here, but unfortunately gets booped away temporarily. Some extra wall here too. Beat drop is coming out from FD God, doing a great job playing his life on the objective, and Molf's able to find Ghost. FD God is being such a nuisance right now, but Dated finds Cronus. The boop comes through from FD God onto Fi. I mean, perfect from the French Lucio of Team Peps. Gives them this chance, this opportunity, and Naga will find Cloudy as well.
This is why I was not a fan of that early Blizzard, because FTCOT was able to kite out of it and establish himself on the payload, and now Team Peps have the ultimate advantage. Fires onto the Genji to try to just touch in time, go through the window, will be able to hit in, but here's the Dragon Strike to stop him from touching.
Dragon Strike, and also a lot of the support from his team. Dala trying to pull similar maneuvers off that Cloud, or that FD God did earlier. Finds able to find Hybrid, but FD God will remove Cloudy. 5 finds Naga. The overtime is still ticking down. Ghost pops the Ant Matrix, so they have a lot of the damage output. But what can Molf and FD God do to delay the objective? It doesn't look like much more. And with 0.45 meters left, SRPeakcheck will stop Peps in the Streets phase.
That could have been absolutely horrific for SRPeakcheck. I mean, as it is, that payload gets so much more free distance. It is, however, stopped before I can pick up that second checkpoint, as we can have a look at some of these replays. Look at how obstructive this Torbjorn turret was in terms of them being able to properly move through those chokes. Really good just changes coming through from SRPeakcheck in terms of how they use the amplification matrix as well. Love the fact that they saw that, okay, we had to abandon it the first time because the fight got kited away from us. We're just going to use it solely for Ghost to be able to keep pumping out the heals and the pressure so that Cloudy gets to go as aggressive as he wants.
Yeah, I mean, that was just overall great work for them. I mean, Peps was so close to finishing. That might have been like one of the most impactful Lucio stall plays we've ever seen, I think, Moxie. Yeah. Is that fair to say? I mean, that was so clean from FD God, just to, you know, wall climb up the tower and go into the bridge and then come back with the beat drop. I mean, that was beautiful. Unfortunately, I came back on the Genji and was just like, yeah, I'm actually good at this hero. So, you know, not as good for them, sadly. But now Peps on the defensive side, maybe they could pull off something similar to SRPeakcheck.
Team Peps not really going for early choke control at the moment. They're still running this composition, which is all about just monopolizing the space and stopping SRPeakcheck from being able to use the Symmetra teleporter to be able to enable a composition that, without the mobility, is incredibly weak in terms of that poke phase. As SRPeakcheck just wanting to get a read on what they're running into.
Cloudy underneath the bridge, yeah, just getting that read like you mentioned. Peps now, you know, kind of cat's out of the bag here. Walking with the Bastion and the Torbjorn, but Hybrid. Oh my god, what a sticky onto Dandit and Dala. Will find those two early. Now tries to zone out SRPeakcheck, who are stuck in a very awkward position. Probably looking to just die here or maybe find some sort of cheese kill, but after Immortality Field is used, can't really get anything more done. Peps wipe the rest of SRPeakcheck back to the spawn.
Yep, that's always going to be the problem when you're running into that Bastion with that concussive. If you commit to the Symmetra teleporter and Cloudy drops his shield even for a single second, so many people are going to be hit by it. As they are pretty close to building up their shatter, but Danad going to be taking a little bit of a different angle at the moment now for the Symmetra TP. They tried the right side, now they're going to go the left and use the natural cover to be able to open up with an amp.
They use it very quickly. I mean, this has been the trend for SRPeakcheck, just try to surprise Peps, but they will get 2 ticks as the Immortality Field, or the Amplification Matrix, is being waited out. Counter Ant Matrix from Peps' side. Cronus with Naga able to find Cloudy. Fi, though, does trade it back. Lucio removed, so no speed now for Peps' side, so they just have to stay around this payload, secure it until their Lucio comes back, but Cloudy building towards the Shatter will have to deal with a Molten Core on this right side. Dandit also gets ran at by Naga, able to find that kill as him. Ghost as well gets pressured back, but the Blizzard is here on the objective. FD God surely so close to being frozen, but Fi's able to find him with that Icicle. Molf goes for that Shatter very late, but unfortunately he's missing his team, so SRPeakcheck will take this point A.
Really good kiting coming through from Daned's TP. So first of all, SRPeakcheck, they understand that, okay, Hybrid's going to be a problem. We're going to use natural cover. That blocks all of the Bastion damage when the teleporter is actually used. So everyone's still alive. It allows Ghost to be able to hit into the Amp Matrix. Once their Amp Matrix runs out, they actually use a second Symmetra teleporter for everyone to disengage Kronos' Amplification Matrix so that they can all survive, wait it out, and then collapse onto the point with Ice Blizzard as the figurehead for the push. Now, however, Team PEPS have the high ground and are just waiting for Hybrid, waiting for that Maywall to be able to drop in with this Bastion ultimate and again deny an amp.
A nice late ultimate actually there onto Ghost, but unfortunately won't find him. Ghost nearly playing that perfectly, but both support ultimates had to be used there. Now PEPS sitting with that support advantage. However, SRPeakcheck still have some ultimates to work with and the payload. I mean, this objective just keeps getting pushed forward. Now FD God tries to come through, still holding onto that beat. Wall utilized earlier by Danid, but they'll lose both Ghost and Dala. Unfortunately, that healing is gone, and that support advantage was just far too much as PEPS popped both the beat and the Amp Matrix.
Yeah, really good sound barrier so that Team PEPS feel the confidence to be able to take that drop from the high ground onto the low, knowing that Cloudy would have Shatter and Molf had already used his late on the point contest and wouldn't be able to counter it. Fi, however, getting pretty close to this Blizzard. Naga does have that Molten Core available to be able to peel its after effects, as we're going to see SRPeakcheck try to bait Team PEPS into thinking of fights on the high ground so they can get back onto the payload and push it through.
Do it immediately, but now they have to, wow, nice TP actually above onto the wooden plank on the high ground. We're able to find Danid, or Naga, off of that two. Cronus zoned out to the back, so no healing. They actually want to chase down that Baptiste Cloudy with a charge from across the map. No more BAP available. Molf will go for the Shatter, but the follow-up really isn't there. Hybrid trying to find something at the bridge, but unfortunately just has to jump down, try to get away, but Cloudy will find him with the Fire Strike. Naga as well, trying to run out here, will actually make it through. Drops the turret. Can anybody even touch with 2 meters left? It doesn't look like it. No. SRPeakcheck. Great win on this map will equalize the series 1-1.
Yeah, Molf tries to come back on the Doomfist the way that we saw Fi with the Genji going through the window and tapping onto the payload, but isn't actually able to make it in time, as Cloudy is going to walk away with play of the game. Sure, yeah, it's going to be the triple Fire Strike. Look at this. Has all of the confidence in the world, knowing that he's got those supports, knowing that all of that burst damage from the Bastion has already been baited out when Immortality Field was up, so he literally just gets to swing, charge, and Fire Strike away.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough map for PEPS' side. Understandable, SRPeak chose it. SRPeakcheck chose it. You know, I mean, they're very good about playing this objective. Cloudy, obviously, you know, Moxie, one of the premier Reinhardt players so far. Molf did a great job on map number 1. What do you think was that big difference maker leading into Eichenwalde?
It was a lot of the set plays, honestly. Like you said, SRPeakcheck, they chose this map for a reason. And one of the huge reasons was Danid knowing those Symmetra teleporter spots. Every single time that PEPS saw the Symmetra teleporter, SRPeakcheck had done such a good job just conditioning them into not being sure whether or not it's a committed to teleport or whether or not it's a bait. And as a result, we would see that sometimes they would actually fall hook, line, and sinker for that bait. And as a result, all of their players would instantly be isolated, and that was honestly what cost them that potential for the stall when the payload was approaching B. All of their players got isolated and taken down at different intervals, so no one was actually able to mount a contest in time. The Bastion goes down by trying to put himself onto that shelf, which Cloudy reads out with a gorgeous Predict Fire Strike on the landing. Kronos gets taken down and can't go for the contest on his own because he just got pinned and smashed against a wall by Cloudy when the teleporter came through, and he got dropped out of his backline and no peel available inside. And then the tank goes down super late as well, so unfortunately Molf isn't able to touch the Doomfist in time, and everyone, you can even see it from SRPeakcheck, like Cloudy is getting into position to meet whoever tries to come through one of those chokes. He isn't going to be able to do anything against someone coming through from the window, but he understands that everyone died too late for that window option to actually be available. The only way someone's going to be able to touch in is through those chokes, and he can just body block the exit.
And with that, folks, we're all tied up 1-1, which means we're going to a short break. When we come back, we'll see you for that map number 3. Welcome back, everybody. We're all tied up 1-1 in this first series of the playoffs between Team PEPS and SRPeakcheck. The next map, which is map number 3 in this first of 3, is going to be Circuit Royale, Moxie. That is the map that PEPS want to take us to.
Yeah, PEPS want to take us to a different map. They're not going to force SRPeakcheck off of a different composition, though. Let's be honest, even though Circuit Royale has long been favored by the Sigma and potentially even a little bit of the Winston coming through for that dive potential, the Reinhardt and the Symmetra yet again just makes it a lot easier to be able to cross some of those expanses. You and I, however, were both talking about the fact that we expect Hybrid to come through not on the Bastion, but on the Hanzo. Potentially we get to see double Sniper come through from Team PEPS. This might be where we get to see our first look at Iliari, but Baptiste and Zen, as well as Baptiste and Lucio for SRPeakcheck, has long been common on this map because of just the long lines of sight, the fact that the Zenyatta can just pummel all of these players through with the volleys, with the discords, just doing so much to give your DPS those legs up.
Yeah, let's just stop hyping people out about this new support. It ain't being seen today, not by these two teams at least. Maybe the next one, or even the third game. not these guys for now. PEPS obviously very happy with both on the Ryan, and meanwhile SRPeakcheck happy running their own. And you talked about that too, Moxie. I mean, a little bit during the break where Iliari doesn't really fit with these compositions, doesn't really fit with the Baptiste, Lucio, or into that like Reinhardt composition. Why do you think that is specifically? Could you explain maybe potentially why that character is not seen right now?
Okay, so look at the amount of times that SRPeakcheck used the Symmetra teleporter to move their position around Eichenwalde. Because every single push had at least 2 different iterations of a Symmetra teleporter actually being invested. Yes, you can actually teleport the pylon, but it requires the pylon to be on the ground, which just is going to make it way too easily targetable, as well as the fact that who would you drop? Again, we've talked about it, right? You need that Baptiste, you need that burst of continuous healing for the Reinhardt to have the confidence to be able to stay as aggressive as he wants to play. And the Lucio is paramount. Sound Barrier is so important for those engagements, but also that speed boost that when the Symmetra teleporter is on cooldown or shot out early, you still have the means to be able to position this Reinhardt before his shield is entirely broken by poke.
Good points. Good points. I mean, it makes sense why the teams are sticking with what they know best, and how to make it work is just with this Baptiste and Lucio at the moment. And usually we know this map for a lot of Sigma gameplay, poke gameplay, but both these teams, Moxie, they just one trick in this comp at the moment.
Yeah, usually when SRPeakcheck is in play, usually goes out of the window. The only thing still in the window is the actual amplification matrix that Ghost is going to be using, and all of the projectiles that SRPeakcheck put through it as a result. No surprises that Team PEPS yet again are just going to be going early on for this Bastion, understanding that SRPeakcheck are going to be looking to challenge this space as quickly as possible, and you want to have the Bastion to burst through the shield defenses, and then once you're out of spawn, swap onto the Hanzo to take advantage of the off angle.
All right. I thought that specifically with the Hanzo, like you said, when we talked about it, I mean, it just feels like it was getting a little bit more work for the side of PEPS, but maybe they just want to do exactly what you said, just play with this bash in the open. Meanwhile, Heart already being pressured by Team PEPS, but SRPeakcheck very good about playing around objectives. Cloudy will actually lose his shield for it, but that costs them that immortality field. Now it gets broken. Cloudy gets beamed down, maybe expecting his team to go for an engage, but now without Fi in this fight, I mean, they're just kind of looking to run and die on that payload and get a reset.
I mean, look at Cloudy's ultimate charge. All he could do was hold the shield up because he's being pressured by so many forms of shield break, not just the Bastion, but Naga with the updated Tourbillon Fire Raid and also the turret. That's 3 forms of shield break before you even take into account the damage that Kronos is outputting. And as a result, they're actually going to keep Hybrid on the Bastion for that shield break damage.
They go for that TP, get back into the fight very quickly, but now Cloudy gets removed too to Hybrid again. I mean, that shield break, like you said, from both that Tourbillon, from the Bastion, far too much for SRPeakcheck to deal with, and that's yet again another wipe for them. Back to the spawn doors. Maybe they'll get a third before it touches the checkpoint.
I mean, blink and you miss it. Fi tried to use a Maywall, and it was gone. Hybrid may as well have literally got a hairdryer, amped it up to 2000 charge, and melted that wall. Because you didn't even get to see it come through to try and save SRPeakcheck to be able to reposition. Yet again, the Millwall comes through, but unfortunately it doesn't actually block Amplification Matrix. The Concussor still goes through and hits the Symmetra, the one target that SRPeakcheck needed to be able to use to disengage. And Dustin, this defense is just falling apart.
Yeah, maybe in the Streets phase or third, things could flip around, but as it stands right now, PEPS have just won 3 clean fights, have 4 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock, moving through the streets.
There's so much momentum as well. They've been able to live through one of the problematic ultimates that SRPeakcheck had available, the Amplification Matrix, which could have forced this team into disengagement. Now they can just play as aggressive as they want. All they have to worry about is that potential Blizzard, and they make the first move.
They use the Molten Core into the Shatter. Morph able to find 3, but the beat drop to counter him for now. FD God pops. It's a bit too late, unfortunately, because Morph will lose his life in that fight. With the wall, able to zone back Hybrid too. So finally, SRPeakcheck look to find their first fight win. Naga gets poked out, will get found eventually, and PEPS now have to regroup.
This should be where this Bastion is going to start finding a lot less value. Right in those rotations, now that SRPeakcheck are going to have the advantage of that high ground and start to poke away. Team PEPS aren't running that teleporter. They only have this Reinhardt shield and Lucio speed boost to be able to rotate and rely on these squishies staying safe until they can take a fight. And SRPeakcheck can literally just pick up all of the time that they waste on A.
Look at this. FD God was actually speed boosting for Naga to come through on that top side. May ultimate here as well to zone, but Cloudy will lose his life to Molf, who had that Ant Matrix with the Fire Strike. Hybrid also finds Dala. Danid able to take him out, but after he's already lost 3, so SRPeakcheck just looking to die on this payload and get another fight.
Yeah, but Ghost doesn't actually try and mirror Ant Matrix. SRPeakcheck identify that they're starting to lose the fight and hold on to it. So they're going to be able to combine it and the Symmetra wall to be able to regain that footing once again on this high ground, because a Bastion burning through a Maywall, that's going to be pretty quick. A Bastion burning through a Symmetra ultimate, a little bit more time.
Yeah, nice Maywall here too. Zone back out, Symmetra wall is well there like you said, but PEPS kind of walk away. They just disengage from that pillar side. SRPeakcheck trying to maybe find a kill or something, but PEPS have regrouped, waited for Cronus to come back, and now
they're off the Bastion.
Regrouped. They're right
they're off the Bastion. Fires onto the mate to be able to wall up the Amplification Matrix if he has it, but I don't think it's actually on cooldown, or at least he's not ready to push with them.
More core into the sky from Naga, but he does die again going up the staircase. I mean, the SRPeakcheck starting to read that Naga just wants to go up the stairs, get to the high ground, but, you know, he's kind of missing his team. PEPS now have to wait for him to come back respawn. They actually use the Ant Matrix to try to re-engage, but Cloudy has that immortality field there. They're able to zone back. Hybrid also pops the ultimate back from the spawn. Beat drop, though, is here to counter any damage that could come through. Molf does get his own beat drop, perfectly timed from FD God, but Fi still has that Blizzard. Is he going to be able to use it before he dies? But a shatter from Molf. Oh my god, that's a 5-man shatter, and PEPS will win that fight and get the team kill.
Well, that's an ace. We're going to get to see it in replay immediately. Oh my goodness, such a gorgeous shatter. And then the speed boost coming through as well from FD God to be able to let Morph move up and start to swing the hammer on everyone on the ground. Fi's now onto the Bastion to try and counter with the shield break. And they are actually potentially going to be able to contest with the Rhine charge touching in time. But unfortunately, everyone's split away from the Rhine dust and there's no protection, no absorption of the damage from their tank. And as a result, Team PEPS just body through the squishies and then turn and deal with Cloudy after.
They're just so discombobulated at the moment. I mean, Fi swaps over to that May now again. I mean, just swapping back and forth, it feels like. And PEPS, 2 minutes left now in the third. They're kind of looking clean right now.
Yeah, they're going to be able to play from the high ground as well, so they have even less to worry about in terms of how this shatter from SRPeakcheck can be used. In fact, it's the Symmetra TP into shatter, but Molf turns around and blocks it!
Hey, look, he's already close to another shatter. I mean, perfect play from Molf. I mean, the Rhine player of PEPS has been playing so damn good. They do pop the Ant Matrix from Cronus here just to secure things, but what plays so far from him?
Hybrid's going to have artillery strike too, so that's going to be another potential denial of amplification matrix. Typically, we say that point C favors the defense, but when Team PEPS just have so much damage on their side, SRPeakcheck just don't get the opportunity to be able to use these channels to put damage onto these squishies early. They have to hide around and play reactively.
I mean, they're getting a little bit too predictable with their TP plays, huh? Wolf, now at the choke point, just looks to try to keep pressuring LH Cloudy into that Bastion ultimate as well. Artillery strike, using that third one late from Hybrid side to maybe catch somebody off guard, but they do force that Symmetra wall back up for now, take that 1-for-1 ultimate trade.
Ghost still holding on to the amplification matrix, but Naga is going to be able to have that Molten Core. The one thing that Team PEPS don't have is time at the moment, less than a minute, so they have to make this pushing quick.
They use the Molten Core towards that objective and also towards the backside of the point where any supports would potentially be. FD God able to find Dandit. Naga as well combines for 5. Bolt DPS remove. Ant Matrix for Ghost trying to be something for the side of SRPeakcheck, but gets booped off the high ground from FD God. Beat drop from Dala is here to try to sustain, but Cloudy's inside the room alone. No supports there in this situation. Dandit as well onto that Reaper, but Team PEPS have just snowballed through this third phase and probably will cap out with time. It looks like they do 16 seconds, fully capping out Circuit Royale.
SRPeakcheck are just scared of the Bastion. That's the only way you can put it, right? They know that PEPS don't have the amplification matrix. So typically when a team is on the defense and you have a Reinhardt and you're the only one with the amplification matrix, you use it to be able to take that space, but they fully understand if they try to use the amplification matrix aggressively to provide a venue for LH Cloudy to push Team PEPS outside of that choke, Hybrid is just going to go into wheels form and shoot through it. And look at how quickly he finds these kills in that form. 1, 2, Immortality Field gone, and even before it's thrown out in time to activate, Cloudy's gone.
It's just so clean from them so far. Apparently, Fraud's telling us that the rest of the PEP supports, both Cronus and FD God, did not die at all. I mean, that's beautiful from them so far. I mean, FD God really is, it feels like, Moxie, he's kind of smurfing Contenders on the Lucio. I mean, he's just such a fantastic Lucio player and has really been a difference maker for PEPS in a lot of these fights.
Well, again, you get to play off of all of the space that this Bastion has spooked SRPeakcheck into giving. And this is going to be really problematic on attack because SRPeakcheck can't afford to just backing off these fights. They have to push onto this payload, and as a result, if they take too long in these rotations with these Symmetra teleporters to play havoc with rotations for Team PEPS trying to figure out where they're running to, they're gonna run out of time by their own hand.
They just set up that turret towards the spawn, kind of play this first objective very, very close, not giving SRPeakcheck any space for Danid to kind of get online. It feels like he just keeps getting poked so low so early on. They go for that TP onto Naga. Naga's expecting it though, already has ran away. However, he will go down. Immortality Field tried to get there to save him, but seems like Hybrid and Crush just combined for 2. FD God also finds 5, so they do lose Naga, but SRPeakcheck needed to commit everything to remove him.
Yeah, but they did manage to take out that Torbjorn. Unfortunately, they didn't manage to take out the Bastion, and that's what they're really scared about. So as a result, Team PEPS, they're not even playing like they have one person down. They're not backing off and round that first corner. They're just using this Bastion to enable the aggression.
Hybrid getting some good damage and already built towards that artillery strike nearly at 80%. Do want to get some space though. Team PEPS just want to regroup with Naga, take a good next team fight, and regroup at this bridge.
You really didn't think like that Torbjorn change would make the difference, but look at how fast Naga is shooting. Amplification matrix comes up from SRPeakcheck, but Team PEPS just disengage, and they've still got one of their own for when SRPeakcheck want to actually walk around this corner.
Ready to go, sitting it still back towards the choke point. SRPeakcheck just taking a little bit of positional advantage. Use that May wall, force the Immortality Field from PEPS and that Amplification Matrix, but with that, they opt to back out instead of going for a bit more, just taking that ultimate and having that advantage for the next one. Yeah, they couldn't
push through, and what they've done, Dustin, by waiting, is that when they're ready to make a move, Team PEPS have the ultimates to be able to counter.
Both beats out from either side. Blizzard, though, is there from the side of Fi, able to find 2 off of the Hybrid. Now will run in, try to find maybe a kill or 2, or at least some damage output. SRPeakcheck, perfect Blizzard and Shatter from Fi and Cloudy.
Yeah, but look at what it's done in terms of the long term, right? They had to commit 3 ultimates to be able to regain control of that fight after Team PEPS had only used 2. Now they don't have the Blizzard, now they don't have the Shatter, now they don't even have a Sound Barrier. So what they have to do is push aggressively, and I'm so happy that we are seeing them push aggressively on these players of Team PEPS, stagger the kills out. So even though they don't have ultimate advantage, Team PEPS don't have space.
Right. All is sitting back, Xing from the payload, as we call it these days. PEPS now will try to walk in through that choke point, but it's against that May wall and Symmetra wall. Torbjorn ultimate, Molten Core committed from Naga here as well, just to force them off the choke point. SRPeakcheck just takes that walk back counter with an Ant Matrix and Ghost, perfectly timed. We'll find Cronus and Hybrid. Cronus jumping in the sky, Hybrid on the low ground, also onto FD God. I mean, that's perfect from the Baptiste from SRPeakcheck just to continue on their dominance in the streets.
They look like a different team entirely. When they were defending, they were essentially scared of their own shadow, to the point that they would back out if they thought that the Bastion had that form available to be able to move into. But now they're pushing aggressively. They're denying the Bastion. They're baiting out the form switch so they can push onto him after they know that it's on cooldown. As Team PEPS have to use this amplification matrix to try and play defensively, and they do actually lose one of their Reinhardts to the wall, and Cloudy, as a result, just gets to keep this position on corner.
It's Shatter, but nice immortality field there from Ghost. Cloudy drops the Shatter into that May wall. The Blizzard is also there, but Hybrid's able to find 1. However, the Blizzard freezes everybody else. And also, they got 3 on that payload. Perfect Blizzard from Fi to give them that team wipe.
No Shatter, no amplification matrix. FD God is pretty close to the Sound Barrier, but again, Team PEPS have to rely on Hybrid. Being that with the Bastion pretty close to the artillery strike, they're going to try and push once again onto this high ground to play around the disadvantage of the Rhine shield that it isn't entirely top covering, and as a result, Morph drops down while everyone else stays on the up.
Top down, but yeah, there's that TP already on the high ground. They just keep going so aggressive, able to find Hybrid. However, it does cost Fi in that fight, so Ghost just gonna try to back up, get some of those support passive heals off. Cloudy tries to go back in, but has no shield anymore, and also not a lot of healing, so unfortunately will be poked down from Team PEPS. Dana, though, with the high charge, is trying to play back, maybe find a kill, just zone it back, keep high charge, have his Symmetra wall for next fight, go again.
I mean, he's going to have that symbol, like you said, to be able to block out all of this poke damage coming through to force LH Cloudy into playing a lot slower than he would like. Sim TP used again to try and take this high ground away so they can push onto Hybrid before he's able to use the ultimate.
Yeah, Hybrid just sits back at the spawn knowing that Cloudy and the rest of SRPeakcheck come to the high ground, so they take that 1-for-1 trade. Dana finds FD God, but it's not without him losing his life and also the rest of his team into that Bastion artillery strike. 2 minutes and 47 seconds left. Now a bit of delay from Ghost, but will eventually die. SRPeakcheck go back to the spawn doors once more.
They do have the Sound Barrier, but so too does Team PEPS, and Cronus' amplification matrix is going to be more than enough time for Morph to be able to build up the Shatter before LH Cloudy. Hybrid, you still have to worry about him. Even though he doesn't have the ultimate, through that amplification matrix, he's going to be an absolute monster, and this time they're not playing the Bastion defensively, they're playing him super aggressively in that space so that he can use this BAP reactively.
You'll have to see if SRPeakcheck want to go for the TP play. It looks like they do it again. This is maybe the 4th time's the charm, going for a bit of an aggressive play on the top. Beat drop committed by Dala because they didn't find any initial value, and also the Ant Matrix is there from Cronus. Meanwhile, on the coastal side, Ghost trying to heal. Play back, avoid that damage to the Ant Matrix of Cronus, but now it is worn off. He comes through with his own Ant Matrix onto that high ground. Both drops towards that payload, drops the Shatter, but does not find the kill. Beat drop from FD God is there. SRPeakcheck do not have a beat of their own, but they're still able to find Wolf. Cronus does trade it back, though. Ghost is gone, so you're missing a lot of those heals now. Cloudy desperately needs them. Falls incredibly low, about half HP. Only has Lucio heals, but gets the Fire Strike kill onto Naga, who dropped down. He's all the way below 80 HP, will eventually get poked down by Hybrid, and Cronus and SRPeakcheck have to be forced off the cart once more back to the spawn.
That card is so close to the finish line though, and Fi does have the Blizzard to try and zone Team PEPS away, punish the fact that they've been taking these defenses incredibly split from each other, right? One person will go onto the low ground and contest, everyone else will sit on the high ground, understanding that Cloudy, unless they have the Symmetra TP, which is always using these rotations initially onto the high ground, doesn't have the means of collapsing onto the Bastion.
They drop towards that payload, use the Symmetra wall as well as the Blizzard, but Fi dies to Hybrid. Oh no, Dala able to find Wolf though off that Blizzard. Dandit also gets on FD, but Hybrid's able to find one again. He's found two in this fight with the artillery strike coming through. However, Naga's already removed. It's just Hybrid to delay. He will eventually go down, and SRPeakcheck actually capture out Circuit Royale with more time than PEPS did.
So this is the thing in that last push, because they take it so quickly, that payload already so close to the finish line, it doesn't matter if Fi goes down, if he's already thrown the Blizzard. That's literally all he needed to do. His entire purpose in that fight is getting close enough to the payload and hitting Q on top of it, because it fragments Team PEPS' forces into going 1v1, trickling onto the cart to keep it delayed, and as a result, they don't have the numbers to be able to overwhelm Cloudy, who just uses the Shatter, deals with the Bastion alone, deals with the Tourbillon alone, then the rest of his team has his back. If anyone tries to respawn, regroup on the Reinhardt, the healing is there.
I mean, it's very good points for me, Mox. I mean, Fi has been playing a perfect team May. And, you know, it seemed like SRPeakcheck was getting a bit too predictable, but maybe, Moxie, was it just that unrelenting pressure with these Symmetra TPs that just wore PEPS down?
Yeah, it sort of is. Again, it comes down to just building those ultimates. There's a really good thing for using that Symmetra TP to get everyone close enough. It means that everyone is building up the ultimate charge continuously, and also forcing Team PEPS into really rough positions where they immediately have to invest things like Immortality Field. So SRPeakcheck get even more opportunity to be able to cleave through these players, because they don't die, but they still take damage.
Early push from SRPeakcheck here into the spawn, but Cloudy now, his shield goes so low. Will cost him his life. Immortality Field not there to save him. They try to at least find Hybrid, and they do so eventually. But off of a very aggressive attempt at a spawn camp, SRPeakcheck now back to the spawn.
Bastion is the perfect thing to be able to break through this. It used to be Pharah, but the damage that Bastion does, as well as the heal on the transformation now, just makes him so much better to be able to cut and blitz through the Reinhardt shield, through the Maywolf, through Immortality Field, and what should have been a really close spawn hold that burnt off time that allowed SRPeakcheck to build up ultimates, instead actually cost them time, cost them distance, and allowed Team PEPS to be able to build up ult charge of their own.
Sitting over the top, give up that objective a bit while SRPeakcheck regroup on the inside angle. Together, they do have, you know, a lot of positional advantage Team PEPS does over the high ground. FD got able to find Dandit. Nice work from him. No more Symmetra in this fight. That's pretty much the entirety of the DPS damage from SRPeakcheck, and now Hybrid could just drop in overtime, try to melt SRPeakcheck, who, you know, without Dandit in this fight, it's going to be kind of tough. Dala over the top, trying to live Ant Matrix here from both Baptistes, but it is Team PEPS who come out on top. Mo finds a fire strike on Defy. Cloudy is able to find just FD God, but PEPS again take the better trade and now have this cart still pushing.
And their timing, amplification matrix to Hybrid's transformation, so they can always find more value, and Fi can't use the traditional counter of Maywall the Ant Matrix up because it's just blitzed down in seconds, as SRPeakcheck have no choice but to back off and wait for a full regroup around the high ground.
Pretty push so far from PEPS' side. Both DPS ultimates online and the beat drop from FD God. We'll have to see how these supports play it. That's going to be the biggest difference maker in the fight, but the cart is still pushing. Molten Chorus here, SRPeakcheck just trying to get the fight win. So they're kind of playing back, playing it safe. Cloudy, though, gets poked down. A perfect shatter onto Wolf, but it doesn't matter because the beat drop counters things into that May ultimate from Fi. Dandit's able to find Wolf as well. FD God, though, does trade it back. Dandit has the shield to play around, but now here's that Bastion ultimate from Hybrid. Overtime still ticking down. Cronus able to find Fi. The May is removed. They have the damage from Hybrid. Dandit able to find Cronus, but it's too late. FD God and Hybrid have combined for 4 kills. And in overtime, PEPS will keep this cart pushing.
They didn't kill the Bastion, so once the ultimates had run out and we go back to neutral, Hybrid just has way more damage output. Morph now coming back in on the Doomfist to be able to regroup faster. Dan had thought about going for the Genji, but opts for that Symmetra teleporter. Once again, as Ghost approaching Amplification Matrix, but we've already seen PEPS get more value because of the Bastion.
Morph already going aggressive on the Doomfist, force the power block down to 80 HP. Will be removed by Dala, unfortunately. That's the likes of playing Doomfist in Contenders thus far. LH Claudio will find Naga. Cronus gets removed, but the damage was already done. PEPS made it all the way through halfway of the map with only a minute in the time bank. That is impressive.
Really smart for SRPeakcheck to actually take that fight the second that they're able to. Because even though they're lacking Danet when he goes for that decision of Genji back onto Symmetra, they're taking more damage. So as a result, Ghost is actually able to build up Amplification Matrix faster than Cronus, and Team PEPS don't get the opportunity of being able to combine the Bastion transformation into the Amplification Matrix, which unfortunately SRPeakcheck would have no answer to. They do the only thing available to them, build up Amp, and then use it immediately and deal with Team PEPS before the Bastion can become much more of a problem than it already was. But already a lot of distance picked up for Circuit Royale for the time bank that Team PEPS were coming in with.
Right. And, you know, Hybrid's been so good on these tracking heroes without a lot of movement abilities, it feels like, Moxie. I mean, he's a very good Bastion player. His Tracer's very good as well, but maybe not to the level of his Bastion has been so far. I imagine Hybrid also probably has a very good Soldier 76 whenever that sees some play, but, you know, they have such a large amount of meterage over SRPeakcheck, who,
He's on
you know,
50 limbs!
50 elims in one game already. That's insane.
21,000 damage for the Bastion, and SRPeakcheck yet again have to deal with it.
Just pressuring him consistently. Maywall used already, but again, they're getting poked down. Hybrid drops off the high ground. Cloudy shield already nearly removed, but they do poke Hybrid, force that immortality field out. Cloudy, unfortunately, will fall, but meanwhile, over the back, Dandit is here, but Naka shuts him out. Perfect shot from him. Ghost able to find Cronus, but it might not be enough. He's gonna have to go Super Saiyan, but unfortunately has too much to deal with. However, the spawn doors are right here, so PEPS just looking to die on the objective, while SRPeakcheck just looking to find these kills. It's kind of a cherry on top for PEPS at the moment, just building this ultimate charge.
I mean, look at how much is invested to take Hybrid down. Rhine Charge, Maywall, Symmetra Teleporter, full turrets to try and force him to reposition. And even then, Hybrid just takes full advantage. The second that LH Clyde goes for the charge, Morph intercepts with counter charge of his own, and Hybrid knocks him with a concussive, forcing Immortality Field out. This is just going to happen again and again and again. Bastion into SRPeakcheck's composition always wins the neutral unless Fight can come in with a headshot.
Oh no, Danid's been found by Naga. 5 seconds left, overtime's about to tick down. This is last fight, basically, for SRPeakcheck. They're waiting to use the Amplification Matrix, maybe for Danid to come back here. PEPS have not, you know, made the initial move just yet. Ant Matrix from Ghost is there. They tried to zone out, but now there's the Molten Core on the objective. It's so hard to play around an Ant Matrix here as well. LH Cloud is going to have to touch, but he does get burned down. Does get the charge on the move at the very least, but as long as Hybrid is here on this objective, I mean, there's not much more you could do. Here's that Symmetra wall and that Blizzard, but Dandit is all alone with it, and unfortunately, he'll lose his life. PEPS will maintain that defensive position and will win on Circuit Royale, and now up in the series 2-1.
We talked about it, right? Hybrid's damage output. It's not even the ultimate that's the scariest thing. It's literally just the transformation, the wheels up, that you have to be so worried about. And unfortunately, there isn't really anything that SRPeakcheck could do to counter it, as we're again going to get to see that 5-person shatter into just a full team wipe. Absolutely insane coming through from this team. And we talked about it, right? Unfortunately for LH Cloudy's team, they need the Symmetra to be able to teleport this Reinhardt around, so that crosses out one of your DPS who can try and go Bastion to be able to meet in terms of the neutral damage that you're able to output. And they also love running the Mei alongside it so that the Symmetra is able to survive a lot longer and your rotations have a lot more safety to them in case the teleporter gets shot down early and you get split half from your team. And as a result, they're never able to win the neutral. Every single time the Maywall comes through, it's gone within seconds. Every single time we see that May block being used to just try and stagger or stall percentage, the Bastion just moves around it, takes down a squishy, and then deals with the May left behind afterwards, and all you're doing is staggering yourself out of a kill. And even if your Baptiste is able to keep pace with Amplification Matrix build up, unfortunately, simply by having a Bastion exist on the other side, LH Cloudy can't play super aggressively with the Amp Matrixes into Fire Strikes, because if he drops the shield, he's dead, his team's dead, and the push is dead. Like, it's insane what Team PEPS have been able to put together, understanding this is the composition they're running into.
Yeah, it's so gross. It's so tough at the moment. We'll go to Colosseo next. That's going to be our map number 4. For the side of SRPeakcheck, they could look to some sort of equalizer here, but you have to see in the match chat to the other team, Cloudy immediately after that game just spammed 3-letter word, 1 3-letter word over and over again. That word is fun. He definitely had such a fun time. He's smiley face, sad face. Tough to tell really what he was saying in the match chat, but it's funny. It's really funny to me, the fact that Cloudy finally gets his wish of playing these Reinhardt mirrors, taking that quote-unquote honorable matchup, but now he has to go against Hybrid Bastion. So, I mean, I don't know, like, can you really feel bad for him? He's getting that Ryan matchup that he wants. The cheeser becomes cheesed. I don't really know if I feel bad for him as it stands, because at the end of the day, it's that Ryan matchup, and right now he's kind of losing it.
Yeah, and again, like, the Symmetra, like, we talked about it, there's other reasons why she's going to struggle into the Bastion, and that's if you don't use the teleporter to immediately get close enough to actually use that beam to charge up, because you do. The same like the Reinhardt has to be in the close quarters to be able to properly find that beam usage. Bastion doesn't. Bastion still finds value every single step of the fight, and now that he has healing on his kit as well, he's got sustainability, they're always ahead in terms of damage output, they're always ahead in terms of ability cooldown too, because I feel so bad for SRPeakcheck's backline, because they're doing everything that they're meant to. When someone falls below critical health, out comes the mortality field. The problem is it's the Bastion, and it's immediately in the engagement of the fight. That's how much damage Hybrid is doing. A fight begins, and half a second into it, you have to lob in mortality field. It's not even the slow burn of a Tracer rotating all the way around a map, getting into your backline, trying to one-clip a Baptiste down to bait out a mortality field for a pulse bomb kill. No, it's literally half a second into neutral. You're having to throw out this lamp to save your Reinhardt, and if you don't commit to Immortality Field, you have no tank, and no one to be able to absorb all of the burst potential from that Bastion. But if you hold on to it, unfortunately, you still don't get any wins either. It is literally a 50-50 you lose situation, unfortunately, for this team. They have to think of a different composition, Dustin. I cannot stress this enough.
They won't, though, won't they? I mean, they got Danid. They got Fi. I mean, what do you expect besides main Symmetra there for them? Maybe
they matched the Bastion. I mean, Fi flashed it for a couple of moments on circuit to try to make it work.
He's just not going to be as good as Hybrid is, though, Like, it's just... Hybrid at the Bastion at the moment is just kind of on another level. With the chat, people are saying, like, oh my god, Bastion, Torbjorn, Omega Lol meta, funny meta. But, at least we're not saying Sombra, guys. Take your wins where we can get them, right? I mean, people don't like a lot of Sombra play. Maybe Bastion plays the counter in the fun department.
We could even see Bastion in compositions that aren't just this, Dustin.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So, get strapped in. We're probably going to get to see a whole lot more Bastion. I'm a little bit sad we haven't got to see Iliari just yet, but it is what it is for these teams. They're not really running compositions which favor her running alongside them. As SRPeakcheck, yet again, same composition, same attempt. They're going to take a really long rotation to try and get all the way into the backline and pounce on Hybrid, but they expect it, and they play from the high ground already.
Using Immortality Field early. Cloudy gets deleted again. Immortality Field's on both sides. Danid tried to find some value, but Hybrid will find him at the end of the day. PEPS will be taking this first fight win, and a 3K ends up for Hybrid's kills.
Yeah, and again, look at the amount of time that Ghost Immortality Field lasts in comparison to Chronosis, because Hybrid is actually isolated and almost goes down, but Cronus is able to save the Bastion with Immortality Field, which lasts long enough for the team to be able to peel, as opposed to SRPeakcheck. Cloudy goes down so low so quickly, and Hybrid, still in transformation form, is able to instantly blitz down the Immortality Field, so it and the Reinhardt drop at the exact same time.
I mean, this is just such a great composition fitting for the name Hybrid. It's just so much poke and brawl at the same time. You know, with the Bastion and Torbjorn. Meanwhile, Implication Matrix committed from Cronus and the Immortality Field. Hybrid is able to find Cloudy. Ghost does trade back Molf at the very least, so both Reinhardts are removed, but now Hybrid with this ultimate connects onto Danid on the back, but he's getting healed by Ghost. However, it might be too little too late. Concussion, or Mind there from Hybrid onto Danid, removes that Symmetra again, and Hybrid just able to get as much value as he wants here, able to find on Fi as well. Eventually, Cloudy will come back before Molf is here, but it's not after his entire team is removed from the lobby. 2 minutes off the clock already, and PEPS have nearly 40 meters in this push map.
And even without a tank, SRPeakcheck don't get to push onto the squishy players of Team PEPS once Amplification runs out. Hybrid invests Artillery Strike literally in no man's land through that arena so that SRPeakcheck aren't able to push onto the squishy members of Team PEPS on side lane. Now we're going to see a huge shatter come through from Molf. As it is going to be Cloudy who's actually able to find value. Really good Blizzard from Fi comes through to push onto the backline of Team PEPS so that they can finally put this Bastion out of position, deal with the rest of the team, and then turn and deal with him. But, Dustin, I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep control of this objective, because, I mean, Team PEPS now get to play from the high ground. SRPeakcheck already having to anticipate that position. Symmetra teleport on top of it to take the angle off.
Well, the Ant Matrix here at the choke, but they lose Fi. I mean, Naga able to connect as well. They do have that ultimate advantage, but unfortunately still get picked off first. Teleport back towards that cart. Charge comes through from Molf. They're just going to wait for Fi to come back, take a neutral fight here, but they could potentially be picked off again. Luckily, they save Ghost for now from the side of PEPS, but now PEPS are on neutral territory on this low ground and have built up some ultimates.
Well, Cloudy does have Shatter, and he knows that Molf doesn't. Problem is that Cloudy just doesn't have the confidence to properly be able to commit to this push until he has this full team, and even then he has to wait for Hybrids, who's just waiting on the off angle for the line to walk forward.
And now they'll use that Symmetra. Molf gets walled off on that right side, but eventually the wall will run its course. Naga with the Molten Core just zoning out towards this payload, but it's a very large map, so unfortunately Molten Core not getting necessarily a ton of value. FD God still sitting with that beat drop. Hybrid also has built up towards that artillery strike, but SRPeakcheck still sitting pretty. I mean, they're in a decent position as it stands to deal with the artillery strike as well. Fi is the target of the artillery strike, but no value is found with it. Fi on that off angle, trying to still pressure out. Mine also used there from Hybrid, so cooldowns committed. Fi also used that May wall. Now into the shadow with LH Cloudy. Unfortunately finds zero value, but both beats committed from the Lucios on PEPS and SRPeakcheck. However, it's Hybrid to come out on top again on the Bastion. Has been a difference maker throughout the series. Now, without that Symmetra, a lot of the damage is removed from SRPeakcheck. Do they commit that Amplification Matrix, especially when the side of Team PEPS are pretty much all over them as it stands? Molf connects with the Shatter as well. Dalla and Fi gets removed. And unfortunately, SRPeakcheck committed the Blizzard in that fight as well.
Yeah, Team PEPS, even though the Molten Core, like you said, doesn't really find aggressive value, it slows the momentum for SRPeakcheck, so when they actually want to push, they don't have the sim wall to be able to mitigate the damage coming through from Hybrid, and as a result, what should normally be aggressive abilities, things like the May will use to engage and isolate these players down, has to be used defensively, and Team PEPS, once they're gone, get to take full advantage. As talking about advantage, that window's definitely finding a whole amount of space. Cloudy has to drop down and try and contest. He's taking so much damage, however, from FD God, who's absolutely fearless. And all the while, the payload's still moving.
Yeah, it's still getting that presence. I mean, Molf's still alive here. They do get walled off temporarily, but without the Reinhardt of SRPeakcheck, Molf's just able to walk out with his life, regroup again. 61 meters. I mean, SRPeakcheck, they still have some time here. 4 minutes and 30 seconds, regrouping around that robot.
Yeah, but they're going to have the exact same issue trying to actually move into this wider space. Molten Core is going to be available for Naga. Hybrid is going to be absolutely untouchable with Immortality Field still on cooldown. SRPeakcheck have to go for a super aggressive fast teleporter into Amplification Matrix, and Molten Core immediately mitigates it.
Yeah, it's nice work from SRPeakcheck though to zone out for now until they lose Danid, but, you know, Dahl is able to trade out Molf, so that's one. Fi also connects on to Naga, and, you know, with that beat drop, they're able to get more value than Team Peps' side. Hybrid does find Ghost, and eventually will get found. The Hybrid's able to find two in the death screen, basically. 33 meters now. Molf will come back against Fi and just Cloudy.
Yeah, Molf alone at the moment on that high ground, but SRPeakcheck not really able to try and commit to contesting this. Have to back off, understanding that Team Peps regroup is going to be a lot faster with the objective being closer to spawn. Using that Smelter teleporter to be able to push back into this area. It's going to be a little bit harder for Hybrid to find the confidence, right, that Rhine Shield's protection to be able to try and take these fights.
Yeah, Blizzard used by Fi here, but Molf able to charge out of it. I mean, that's the problem with a lot of these more open maps. Pretty much everybody getting not a lot of value out of their DPS ultimates besides maybe Danit, who TPs over to that high ground, knowing that Molf tries to aggress for the Ant Matrix. And Hybrid able to find Danit again, who went for that off angle. Now Molf's able to get the Shatter, and the rest of SRPeakcheck get wiped here. They did get it nearly up to 40 meters, but that's a team wipe, and SRPeakcheck have to regroup.
It's a sandwich! Team Peps, like, they literally leave Hybrid on the back line, on the disengagement angle that SRPeakcheck could try and take alongside the Amplification Matrix from Kronos, as Molf takes the engagement on the front line with the Shatter, and SRPeakcheck have no place to be able to teleport out of, even if they don't get hit by the Rhine ultimate. As now they do have the Amplification Matrix, but they have to deal with this Tourbillon turret, and that actually allows Hybrid the opportunity to be able to build towards this artillery strike. Is 2 minutes and 20 seconds, and this objective from SRPeakcheck is still struggling to move past mid.
Tough call there. Molten Core finds maximum value from Naga, who will go inside and find Ghost. So maybe Team Peps can get a little more meters on the clock, but with the Symmetra, I mean, they're just so unrelenting. It feels like they just stop this robot always before it can push that little payload.
I mean, there's not really a great win condition for SRPeakcheck unless they can find that early first kill, and Team Peps are just playing positions perfectly. As now we see the artillery strike come through. Amplification Matrix from SRPeakcheck used to try and keep control of this high ground. Hybrid's literally just going to walk up the ramp and go around it.
It goes around to the top, and Matrix gets pretty much avoided. However, Ghost able to find Naga, and that value not exactly found necessarily out of the Bastion just yet until Cronus finds Cloudy off the charge from Molf again. Ant Matrix over the top just to heal everybody up. The robot is being stolen meanwhile and going the opposite direction. So even though Molf finds Danid, the robot's pushing all the way back around. And actually, yeah, it's going to get stopped now, but, you know, nothing really gained there for Team Peps' side. But they do actually get a little bit of meters, and we'll try to regroup here. If they get staggered, that could be big, but unfortunately, they're not. SRPeakcheck regroup back around. That was a perfect stealing of the cart there.
Yeah, Molf's still going to have Shatter, however. Cloudy will be able to try and counter it with one of his own. The main thing that Peps have to worry about is Blizzard. They have to kite this fight away from in these closed-up quarters and back towards more open space, the way that they dealt with Blizzard last time.
Use that Symmetra wall to get some space. And oh my god, what a charge from Cloudy. Empty God not expecting that into the Shatter as well. Both Bastion and Baptiste laying on the floor. Hybrid will be found, but Cronus will be able to jump out of there. And it's that, man, they just keep coming back into these fights with the Symmetra. We're now basically even. It feels like SRPeakcheck has maybe lost more team fights, but it kind of hasn't mattered. We're within 10 meters now, Moxie. And SRPeakcheck, we're about to get the advantage.
Yeah, Team Peps aren't going to be able, well, they will be able to mount a contest, but they lose Hybrid. In the meantime, Amplification Matrix now from SRPeakcheck just to guarantee that no one else can contest, and they take the lead in distance.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Molten Core here maybe tries to find somebody. Oh my god, what a charge from LH Cloudy, and Dollar with the boot. No! SRPeakcheck win on Colosseo to bring us to map 5. Moxie, this is like one of those games. I saw a post on x.com, not Twitter anymore, where people were like, well, this what happens when you see these games when there's like the deaths don't match up to who won. That was like this matchup. It just felt like so many fights were won by Team Peps. It did not matter because Symmetra was in the lobby, and it just SRPeakcheck just got so many freaking fights and stopped that payload from pushing, or the robot from pushing at all.
You know what the craziest thing is, Dustin, about that entire match? The turning point for SRPeakcheck is literally the objective steal.
Yes,
The fact that they're able to poach that objective and find those meters, and like Team PEPS, they understand in the fight afterwards that Fire is going to have Blizzard. You can see it going through their minds because they back up. They disengage, they try and take us exactly to the same spot where they were able to space themselves away from Blizzard the last time Fire had it available. And SRPeakcheck, the way that we saw Team PEPS actually hostaging SRPeakcheck's push with the threat of the Bastion, they do the exact same thing with the threat of the May ultimate. And they use it to be able to lead into gaining even more ground and pushing onto these fragmented members of Team PEPS before the Bastion has the time to be able to set himself up on an off angle, and before the team have the time to actually be able to put themselves into a position where they're going to be able to enable that Bastion to hold its space. And as a result, SRPeakcheck, by continuing to just push at this composition, are able to find the value, even investing amplification matrix so no one can touch. And as a result, surprise, surprise, when the time burns out, no one can hit into overtime and no one can actually turn a push around from Team PEP's side. And somehow, someway, we put ourselves onto another map in this crazy series. But Dustin, they've only delayed the issue that they're still going to run into on this next map. The Bastion is still going to be a problem. Now they have to figure out, by playing aggressive, by playing super proactively, whether or not they can keep it in check again.
Yeah, we'll have to see on that number 5, but we are going to short break before that map number 5, like I said, so we'll talk about it a bit more when we come back, guys. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You like solving problems. Problems like how to stop that tracer from deleting your backline. I know just what you're thinking. You'll bring a turret. But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets, no refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.
Welcome back, everybody, to this exhilarating first series of the playoffs so far on European Contenders. We're entering that map number 5 between Team PEPS and SRPeakcheck, which has been back and forth since map number 1. So we're going to Lijiang Tower, which will be our map number 5. I mean, this series is, like I said, it's been so back and forth, Moxie. What are you expecting coming to Lijiang Tower, or is, everything just reset? We're back to ground zero?
I mean, we're not going to be back to ground zero. We're going to be back to the exact same compositions. But like you and I, we were talking about why the Bastion worked so early on Colosseo as opposed to later on in the matches. And a lot of it is down to when that space opened up. So for who's in control of Lijiang Tower, again, it's going to come down to which specific map we go to. Control Center, long been favored by Reinhardt's, long been favored by Symmetras because of those closed up spaces. The same thing for things like a Junkrat, but that's also really going to play into the Bastion, especially with the amount of chokes that you can control and the really closed up spaces that the Bastion is going to be able to connect all of that damage moving from one player to the next and breaking the Rhine shield at the exact same time. But when we had someone like Night Market, probably going to struggle unless you can bunker up on that point and use things like the Reinhardt to be able to play your positions, try and play your off angles if you are already in control of it. If SRPeakcheck are able to use the Symmetra to instantly teleport onto the point and bunker up using the Mei wall to be able to shield off one of those entrances, the Bastion's probably going to struggle. So I think for them, we're going to see the pendulum swing, depending on which map we get first. In terms of gardens, however, all up in the air, because spaces can be closed off, spaces can be super wide. It really is going to depend on who's able to win that first fight.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, like you said, just round dependent. It depends on which sub-level we see. For PEPS' side, I mean, do you think this favors them, though? Because, like you said on Colosseo, maybe things were a bit too open. However, when you're forced to the objective, maybe that's where, I mean, so does the Mei, but maybe that's where the Bastion and Torbjorn come online, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right, Mei super strong on some parts of Control Center. Mostly the chokes, and we were actually seeing even last season when teams were running into the Mei, they would actually take the fights onto the point as quickly as possible because that space instantly widened up, and the Mei wall didn't actually have that same level of value of being able to isolate a target out. It wasn't able to fully reach the space, blocking off any form of peel.
Okay, well, let's see if on this map, things kind of work out how we think they do. But, in Overwatch, everything is still up in the air until the players are in the lobby. They could even switch up compositions entirely, which would be very funny if it did, huh, Moxie? I mean, imagine map number 5 is when things start getting dicey and everybody's like, okay, let's play the Pharah, let's play the Yari, let's just switch it up. I mean, that would be quite the change-up considering, both teams have pretty much one trick to their compositions throughout.
Well, I mean, we could see the Pharah come through. Like, yep. Naga has flexed onto things like the Echo and the Pharah in the past, and very much Pharah problematic for the Reinhardt composition. In fact, Cloudy, he's had a really rough run of contenders because he likes to play the Rhine. Whenever he played against a team last season and the team started struggling against the Reinhardt composition, the gut reflex would be to go for something like an Echo because of how hard the Rhine finds in fighting into the aerial heroes. But it looks like Team PEPS still going to be running hybrid on the Bastion. Naga potentially committing to the Symmetra, but maybe just using it to be able to escape out of spawn faster, as Danet's going to be sticking with the Sim the entire time. They're not going to be using that teleport to move out of spawn. They're going to be going straight for that window drop down.
Oh, yeah, Naga's sticking with it. I mean, this is a great map for Symmetras. Both actually go through that window, so it's even back and forth. Cronus already uses Immortality Field, though. Naga got removed by Cloudy, but Hybrid finds 2. Mulf as well onto that one, and immediate value found by the Bastion of PEP. So get that team wipe and have full control of the point before it even unlocks.
Yeah, so Cronus doesn't throw Immortality Field to save Hybrid. He throws Immortality Field to allow Hybrid to move into a forward aggressive position and take Ghost down. And the Baptiste goes down. There goes the healing. There goes the Immortality Field. And unfortunately, because the Symmetra TP was on cooldown, SRPeakcheck weren't able to disengage, as now Hybrid gets the full setup he was looking for.
3 turrets, though, set up onto the back of Team PEPS. Boop comes off onto Naga, rather. finds 2 in that fight. Great work from Lucio, player of SRPeakcheck, to open things from them. And they get that point flip, but 2 members still alive and being staggered. So perfect situation for SRPeakcheck and recontest.
Yeah, really good Maywall coming through from Fi to stop Hybrid from walking forward and contesting that point flip and stalling it out even more. The team PEPS. Naga still sticking on this Symmetra. However, if they do want to still go for that contest through the window to be able to negate all of this poke damage coming through, does look like, yeah, they're going to go for that teleporter play, but actually throws it out as a bait to try to push SRPeakcheck into turning around to deal with it, so that Hybrid gets even more angle to deal with.
Team PEPS walk towards this choke point, will commit that amplification matrix, but it is met by the Symmetra wall, and they want to give it up considering Dalla also used the beat drop, so it's an ant matrix for 2 ultimates of SRPeakcheck. They'll take that trade-off. However, Shatters coming online for both Reinhardts. That could be a difference maker into this fight as well, as FD got only 80% towards that beat drop on the engage. Hybrid will commit his artillery strike into the middle of the point to try to zone, but it's that May ultimate from that left side. Molf comes through off the back, but Cloudy's already find Naga, and he's got the heals, but Hybrid eventually will find him, and also onto Danid, so they're able to find the 2. Will drop the mine in onto Fi, who has to back up. Turrets get removed as they walk in as well. May looking just to delay. Cloudy will come back. Potentially we'll have a shatter for here in the fight, but Fi gets delayed. If Cloudy comes back through the main side, they know he's got the shatter, so they're looking for it, and Hybrid finds Ghost as well. Cloudy will walk in just to delay it a little bit further, get up that percentage, but eventually PEPS will flip that point.
Different map, same exact problem for SRPeakcheck. The Bastion is too strong in the neutral. Artillery strike is countered by Blizzard. Blizzard is countered by Shatter. And then once the ultimates are offline, Hybrid still alive, has all of the burst damage that Team PEPS need. It's not the ultimate you have to worry about, it's the Bastion itself. And the Shatter peeled the Bastion to be able to survive. Now, Cloudy does have the ultimate, but unfortunately, it's the symbol for PEPS' side. And as a result, so much healing gets blocked. Immortality Field not able to save the Rhine. He's just gone in a puff of smoke and Bastion fire.
Just deleted from the lobby. Both, at least they got 2 ultimates out in that fight where they didn't use any, so they're coming back into this 160% of the board as well, walking through this garden side, this yard side, into the point, removing the turrets as well. Cloudy prioritizing a fire strike towards those as well. Make sure that damage isn't really there. Charge comes through early with the beat drop to sustain him. Artillery strike here as well, but no value found of it just yet. Shatter comes through from Cloudy. However, Hybrid has the beat. However, the beat doesn't matter because he's charged off the map, but a counter boot comes through from FD God. However, it's too late for the side of Team PEPS because Dalla and the rest of SRPeakcheck came through to find those kills. The stagger kills there are found. Team wipe comes through as SRPeakcheck flip the objective.
It's a sacrifice, but a necessary one. Cloudy removes the true threat of this composition, and with the Bastion gone, SRPeakcheck get the confidence to be able to converge onto point. Final fight territory, and they've got the ultimate advantage, as we do see Naga swapping onto the Tourbillon to have even more shield pressure.
FD God touches through the top, but against that Symmetra wall, I mean, some miracle play is going to have to happen for the side of Team PEPS. The Symmetra wall is running out, but into that Ant Matrix from Ghost. Ghost finds FD God. Molf will get found by Danid. I mean, it's just far too much damage here. Ant Matrix is there from Kronos, so maybe they could find a kill, but unfortunately, no. Nobody dies on SRPeakcheck's side, and they take round number 1.
And this is why Cloudy getting the kill onto Hybrid in that last fight was so instrumental. Because he gets to Shatter, that stops the Bastion bursting down one of these players from SRPeakcheck on entrance to the fight. And it means that Danid gets to hold on to the Symmetra ultimate for the fight that comes afterwards. So Team PEPS can't use the transformation from Hybrid to zone SRPeakcheck from taking a hold of those choke points and stopping the full team from getting past the Symmetra turrets and walking onto the point for a contest. And you can see, right, Hybrid every single time PEPS try and push in, always trying to burst that shield down as quickly as possible and force Ghost into using Immortality Field. None of that happens. The map gets to use the ability like he wants to, and we head into Gardens with SRPeakcheck a map ahead.
Yeah, that should favor PEPS, though, on this one. Charge comes through onto Cloudy, down to 30 HP. Molf is the one that dies. Cloudy trying to use that pillar 4, a little bit of healing on the backside as his shield was removed, but Naga finds those kills. Hybrid also connects onto Dandit. They're able to find those opening kills and get the damage through, so SRPeakcheck back to the spawn before the point unlocks again.
This is going to be really tough as well for SRPeakcheck to have to deal with, because they're always, even if they want to use the Symmetra teleporter to be able to push without having to worry about bridge, they're going to be taking so much burst damage from this Bastion before the fight begins.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the sub-maps really mattering. Maybe this one will favor the side of PEPS as Hybrid hits a perfect concussion onto Dandit, removes him from the lobby. Dandit back to the spawn. SRPeakcheck now have to decide, do they want to go for a quick reset or just kind of live here in the white room? PEPS play back because Dandit can get back so fast, but they get a nice headshot onto Dandit, so he's going to have to wait a second. Also, to disrupt, I mean, this Bastion has been so disgusting to deal with, and they've built up ultimates too.
They need the Sim to be able to teleport past, but unfortunately the teleporter doesn't actually get used. It disappears so quickly. An artillery strike comes through to cut the supports from the front line, forcing Immortality Field out early.
Matrix still available here, now is used onto Multi, tries to walk forward, goes for the charge, and actually costs him his life. Cloudy comes back, gets the beat drop. Now they can just kill Hybrid on the point. With multiple ultimates committed from PEPS, now they have to try to find some kills. Naga's able to find one, but he's missing the entirety of his team. Dandit's able to find Cronus. Beat drop committed in this fight, but it still cost Naga his life after FD God uses that ultimate. He's just looking to delay on Gardens. It could work out with people coming back fast, but SRPeakcheck get that clean wipe and flip the objective.
But look at the stall because of the sound barrier. Team PEPS are able to pick up 77% of the point, and we've already talked about this at length. Hybrid's Bastion is always going to beat SRPeakcheck's neutral, and as a result, SRPeakcheck are going to feel incredibly pressured to use every single ultimate they have available incredibly smartly. They cannot chain these together. They have to be able to cycle through them. That's a brilliant start.
A shatter comes through from Cloudy to stop that TP, but they also use that Symmetra wall, and PEPS did not commit anything, so trying to squeeze a little bit more value out of there as SRPeakcheck come back 30% of the board.
And the Symmetra wall is the main counter to Hybrid's Bastion. The only thing that SRPeakcheck are going to be able to use is either Fi's Maywall to be able to buy themselves split seconds at most of being able to reposition, or just throwing out that May Blizzard in the hopes that they can catch Team PEPS before they're able to rotate on point.
EP comes through from Naga. Come through on the backside. Mole still sitting with that Shatter shield from Cloudy, knowing that Shatter's coming through. He's at that disadvantage, so he's not going to go for a charge here in this fight, but FD God finds Ghost because they were committed towards that coast side. Blizzard is now here. Mole still has a healthy shield to commit towards that Bastion to keep him alive as well. Just the zone for Hybrid as he now comes back in. Flank Pachinko just drops that wall or that ball off on the right side. They find the stagger kill, 80% of the board now for PEPS.
And if I use the Blizzard, Ghost is going to have the amplification matrix, but Team PEPS can just use things like the Shadow or Amp matrix of their own to set Hybrid up, and SRPeakcheck are probably going to have to abandon that Baptiste ultimate yet again, or just use Sign Barrier on engagement, but they need to hold on to it for stall potential, because this is final fight.
Again. Yeah, nice artillery strike. Cloudy's low coming into this. Beat drop tries to save him with the Amp matrix. I mean, they're committing everything to keep him alive, but allows Fi to find Mulf, but Cronus does trade back. Dulla Hybrid's able to get Cloudy in an overtime. I mean, they got the Symmetra wall to play around. Naga can now come in with full charge, just find these stagger kills onto both Fi and Ghost. I mean, these team fights end just as fast as they start. Now we're going to that map round number 3, tied up 1-1.
Yeah, unfortunately, SRPeakcheck having to use both Immortality Field, Amplification Matrix, and Sound Barrier incredibly early yet again because of Team PEPS controlling a choke with a Bastion fully set up, and that Symmetra of Naga just set right next to the choke to be able to build up as much charge as possible. And it's really unfortunate for Clyde because every single time they try and engage on that point, when that Symmetra teleporter isn't up, if he drops his shield for a single second and they don't go bridge, they go for that really long background rotation, Hybrid just puts in a concussive and it bounces off a wall and hits someone on the team, and they lose a player and have to wait even longer. And that's the exact same thing that can happen right here on this last map that's going to divide the winner of the series.
I mean, Colosseo has been so damn impactful from Hybrid. Now he tries to walk in, keeps that immortality field, both Baptiste committed, as well as the regenerative burst to keep everybody healthy. But now Hybrid has that off angle, drops in the concussive. Naga finds Cloudy as well. Wolf on the Dandit. I mean, they're just outplaying SRPeakcheck as it stands. SRPeakcheck just have to go back to spawn again before the point even unlocks. It's happened 3 times in a row now.
Again, like you said, Team PEPS, they see that the fight's happening inside side room, and Hybrid gets the immortality field to play super aggressively. This time Ghost does throw in an immortality field of his own to be able to counter that Bastion's aggression, but he just goes for the off angle the second he's Maywalled off. That's a really good Maywall coming through from Fi. Actually bounces the immortality field off of it as it sets up, so they lose more.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good attempt from the Baptiste player. Actually, wait, he commits the ultimate as well. Maybe they have enough damage with it. They are able to find Cloudy, but Ghost kills Hybrid. I mean, that's a lot of the damage gone. However, Molf is going to be back in this fight. Cloudy isn't here, so they could come back. However, Fi has the Blizzard to delay, so he's going to commit it onto Molf. He's not going to freeze, though. Jumps off this point. The Blizzard does zone back away, entering back into this neutral game now as both teams have regrouped as 5 members. They send Hybrid through the white room on the right side with that Symmetra wall, both on either side, and we're entering Overwatch 1 territory with the amount of screen clutter right now. Molf tries to walk through on the other side of the pillar. Artillery strikes come through into the beat drop, so Molf is still healthy. No death just yet. Baptiste ultimate from Ghost. That is the advantage that SRPeakcheck have with the amplification matrix. Shatter committed from Molf, no value. Meanwhile, Cloudy finds his value. Fi finds Molf off the back of that Shatter. Now Hybrid in this white room, left alone, is going to be found by Cloudy, who came through with the charge and then the fire strike as SRPeakcheck flipped that point earlier on. Now entering 60% SRPeakcheck are sitting pretty.
Really good juggling coming through from Cloudy. Not on the Winston, but still able to deal both with the front line and then turn in anticipation of Hybrid sitting on the off angle from White Room, trying to play around this Bastion's burst. Was able to deal with both of them, and as a result, SRPeakcheck have been able to pick up 76% of this point. Team PEPS will have Amplification Matrix, but what they won't have is Immortality Field. Yet again, it's used early to set Hybrid up to try and find a kill.
It's so tough at the moment. They have to back up. Molf with the fire strike. Oh my god, a hero fire strike from him. Able to remove Dandit. And now Hybrid has that space to work with. 92% of the board built up for SRPeakcheck, trying to get it to 100%, or 99% rather. Maybe force that over time, and they do so. Team PEPS are going to flip it. They have a large mountain to climb, though.
Yeah, but Hybrid is approaching artillery strike. They might be able to find a stagger. No, it is going to be Team PEPS having to teleport away as they can see the regroup coming through from SRPeakcheck. They do not want Molf to be away from the team, given that Fire is super close to the Blizzard. And SRPeakcheck, one fight away, can literally rotate onto this point, put Cloudy in this super aggressive position, drop Amplification Matrix, and bait Team PEPS into walking into them.
Shield being melted, but Naga finds Ghost. Artillery strike here just to follow through as well. SRPeakcheck don't commit anything more besides that Amplification Matrix. We're now entering 50% for PEPS, halfway to their victory.
That's 2 ultimates baited out from the side of Team PEPS, purely with just threatening the space for that point flip. SRPeakcheck doing a really good job of being able to wrangle ultimate economy advantage to their side. They just need one fight win, Dustin.
Yeah, my nerves are shaking for these players at the moment. Symmetra wall committed from Dandit. They walk through with it towards that white room. Pressure out Molf. No kills just found. He said Empty God has to touch the point though, and it cost him his life. Just got beamed down by the Symmetra turret. Shatter as well onto Molf from Edge. Cloudy onto the back just to close it out. What better way to do it than that? SRPeakcheck will win against PEPS and move on in this upper bracket.
Really good game sense coming through from SRPeakcheck. They fully understand that they have the percentage to be able to play with. They can afford to go into one fight, literally throw one ultimate down, so that PEPS think that they're fully committing onto trying to find that flip and that they'll throw more onto it. And as a result, what do PEPS throw in? They throw in 2 of their best ultimates at being able to set that space back up for them. Hybrid with that potential contest of artillery strike to stop SRPeakcheck from being able to move forward and find the contest. But also, and this is the huge thing, Naga throws in the Symmetra wall. The Symmetra wall that has been used to make it so hard for SRPeakcheck to be able to collapse on top of Hybrid as these pushes start up. So as a result, literally all SRPeakcheck do is see those two ultimates gone, immediately go for the fight reset, fully understand that the Bastion is going to be incredibly vulnerable now to just being run onto. So 4 out of 5 of their players run onto the Bastion, deny the off angle, make sure that Hybrid is entirely overwhelmed before Team PEPS can come into anything that can turn the fight in their favor. Meanwhile, we see the Blizzard being properly committed onto, as well as all of the other ultimates that SRPeakcheck have available. Guarantees the flip, out comes the shatter, no one can actually get past because they're all stunned on the ground inside room, and we don't see overtime hit, no stagger, no stall potential. SRPeakcheck take the map and take the series.
Yeah, such a hard last fight there for PEPS, and now we'll be going to a short break. When we come back, we'll have an interview with LH Cloudy, guys, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Oh, hello! Fancy meeting you here. It's so nice to see ya. Are you ready to survive the wastelands? Then you'll need to bring your shotgun, your axe, and of course, your knife. For your sharp wit, if you get my drift. Hey, whoa. Hold on there. Don't forget to pick up your Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Yeah, gearing up is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. And after that, watching the Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drop progression, letting you claim your own wasteland-ready Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Oh, that's right. It's time to rampage. Now, get out there and slay with the Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Okay, take care now. See you in chat.
Welcome back, everybody. After that exhilarating matchup between SRPeakcheck and Team PEPS, we have a winner, and it was a 3-2 matchup for SRPeakcheck, and we've brought in Cloudy, the man, the myth himself. It feels like we always have you for your team in these interviews, for good reason, though. How you doing today, Cloudy?
I'm doing alright. Happy we won that game. I mean, I asked if someone else was to do, and they were like, you go, so I go.
Might as well.
Well, I mean, it means that we get to talk to you and ask you how your experience was, because you did not look like you were having fun running up against a Bastion who has that much amount of burst potential with the changes. And I have to ask, we've already seen Bastion in the past on some seasons find a lot of value with Rhine compositions. Have any of the buffs to Bastion actually changed how you now try and take these engagements against him?
I mean, like, fundamentally Bastion is the same, right? Like, you have to play the same way, but older Bastion was just weaker and did less damage on the recon and was easier to kill. So now it's just like, it's the same thing. You either bait the turret or you go into him, but now it's just a harder thing to do. You have to play even better, beat it.
Well, I mean, obviously you guys did beat it. Why do you think, or how do you think you guys came out on top, specifically on that map number 5, and kind of found out how to deal with the Bastion?
I mean, it's just like, because like King of the Hill, it's easier to line of sight and like tempo the game. So like King of the Hill is just easier against Bastion. Then like Circuit is pure hell. You're in actual hell. There's nothing to hide. You just suffer. But we just figured out a way we wanted to do. Honestly, we just have won 2-0 last map as well. We should have won Garden, but we did a whoopsie doopsie. But it's just easier to play King of the Hill because, you know, it's 1 point and then there's like, it doesn't move and there's no open.
Yeah.
And were you expecting the composition that Team PEPS came out with? Because obviously they knew that you were going to be playing the Reinhardt. The last time that we actually saw you go up against them, they played a lot of Ramatra. Orisa as well has been definitely something that a lot of people have talked about being one of the meta tanks, but we didn't get to see her in this matchup.
No, I'm honestly curious why they played Ryan, but it worked out pretty well for them because the Orisa guy is pretty good. But Moltvik played really well on Ryan. It almost worked out for them, but honestly surprising they played Ryan. I'm not surprised they played Bastion Torp, because they have not beat us playing any comp, so they chose the most least skillful comp in the game, and they still couldn't beat us, so happens.
Well, why do you, I mean, like, they seem like they're pretty good on it though, right? I mean, like you said, it's the least skillful. However, Hybrid, you know, on the Bastion was, you know, trying to do some things. Like, how did you guys kind of negate his value specifically? I mean, it was just like constantly running at him, making sure he can't find that value, or because I mean, he was getting a lot of value at points, depending on the maps, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like on Bastion, you have two options, right? You instantly go in and all in the Bastion, or you like bait the turn and go in. So it's just like sometimes we did that, sometimes we did option number 2. Like, that's how you mitigate Bastion. Like, honestly, we should have won first map. We just fumbled the bag, and like Circuit was just a horrible fiesta, and enemy got lucky because we made a mistake, or maybe they played better, who knows. I don't think it's just lucky for them. And yeah, that's just, I mean, we should have won easier, but it's just annoying stuff happens with Bastion sometimes.
And a lot of things have changed in terms of patch notes, so many different heroes getting changes. Sombra obviously coming a little bit out of favor given all of the changes that have occurred to her. But as a tank player, what would you say are the most impactful changes that we're going to see in the meta in comparison to now than we did in the normal stages?
Orisa is best hero game. I'm surprised these guys didn't play Orisa, but Orisa is completely broken in this patch. Like, absolute god tier hero. Like, no one played Orisa really before because he can't fly, but now he has more damage, more survivability, so it's a very annoying hero.
Did you say nobody plays Orisa because she can't fly?
Yeah.
That's like, I was like, I'm just here. Okay, Claudia, I appreciate it. Why aren't you playing the Orisa then? Why aren't you playing the broken character?
Because I don't have to play a low skill hero to win. Like, all these other tank players, they like looking Orisa because they lack the fundamentals. Play a real hero, so they go Orisa and make the game easy. But like, I have the fundamentals, I have the skill, I have the team behind me, so I don't have to swap.
Yeah, and I mean, specifically in this matchup too. I mean, you talk about like the ways to counter Bastion. I'm not sure how much more we could really talk about it, but since there is like that, you mentioned it is a very difficult matchup, and there's a lot to it. And you know, at points, I think earlier on in the series, would you say that you yourself were like kind of figuring it out as time went on? Because you know, you're usually a very aggressive player, but it felt like at times you had to be a bit more reserved to be able to deal with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, earlier in the series, I died a bit too much and went too far, and then I realized I can't do that because usually I just go in and kill everything, right? But I can't kill Bastion and Torbjorn just shooting me in the face, so it's really hard. And then I like kind of figured out how and when I should go aggro, because we've never played this matchup before. Then we figured out in the end, like, I don't think this is ever gonna happen to us again. What happened today? We almost lose.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, since you were talking about the Orisa matchups and you guys are moving forward in that upper bracket, I mean, you said you expect to play against that Orisa. Do you think that these compositions, like, what's the difference in terms of how they play? Because we haven't seen the Orisa on broadcast just yet. Is there a different play style that you guys do versus the Orisa comp?
I mean, I can't really leak because we haven't played against it, but like it's a bit different because like Reinhardt is melee range, right? So it's easier to play against him. But it's just like if they have voice Sebastian, it's fundamentally the same, right? As Reinhardt. Like Reinhardt is the same guy. Other one has gun, other one has hammer, but it's like pretty much the same thing.
That makes a lot of sense. And you know, leading into that match, obviously, I mean, you're happy just to get the win, right? After that one.
Yes.
You know, is there anything you want to say before you move forward into the upper brackets? Any last words that you have for us, Cloudy?
What happened to Shame? Why are these guys playing Torp Bastion? Like I thought this was a highly mechanical players, and I respect them. But like, can you not play Torp Bastion in a pro game?
Would you rather they played Sombra?
I would have wished they mirror, you know, Mei Sum. You know, like Mei Sum, like there's nothing more honorable than a Mei Symmetra mirror. But like they just took all the honor away from the game, and then we have
wait,
to.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? How? These characters are also unskillful. What do you, according to your definition?
There's nothing more skillful than a Mei Symmetra gameplay. Like the right clicks. Mwah. Mwah.
Good.
Love
You're right. You're not wrong with that one. Well, thank you, Cloudy, for coming through with the interview. Appreciate you, man. Best of luck in your future matches.
Thank you, bro. GG.
GG. Well, that's OH Cloudy from the likes of SRPeakcheck. Fun matchup from those guys. What a better way to start off these playoffs than to have such a close matchup for us on broadcast. Obviously, for him, he's stressing. He's like, that should have been that close. But to take a look at the, you know, matchup of the day, that's what we just saw with SRPeakcheck versus Team PEPS. So we have two more to go today. Oh yeah, versus Triple Esports is coming through. Meanwhile, Ataraxia, sadly, Mox, you were talking about them earlier. Looks like they lost their matchup in the upper bracket to Eichenwalde, which means that they will be our first lower bracket matchup that we're going to watch on stream.
Yeah, it does look like you said that Ataraxia did indeed lose. It does seem, however, that they were able to take one map away from Eichenwalde. One team that still have such a dominant hold on this series, however, is Twisted Minds. They were able to beat Raspberry Races 3-0 and will be going head-to-head against SRPeakcheck. But the match that we're going to get to see, Dustin, next, it's going to be a fun one too. We get to see Oh Yeah versus Triple Esports. And we know Oh Yeah, they always have a couple of shenanigans on their side. They always have a couple of off-meta picks. I think we're going to see a sort of meeting in the middle in terms of off-meta and on-meta. Potentially, we're going to get to see the new support debut come through. We haven't seen it just yet, but I don't think we're going to have Rhine matches in this next one. So maybe it's going to be Iliari's time to shine.
Yeah, we'll have to see when that comes through. Also going to watch my former teammate Sharp in the game. Fun to see him play still. Meanwhile, guys, like I said, we're going to a short break. When we come back, we'll see Oh Yeah versus Triple Esports. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You like solving problems. Problems like how to stop that tracer from deleting your backline. I know just what you're thinking. Go bring a turret. But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets. No refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.